It almost goes without saying, but Chicago coach Roy Dames put it out there anyway this week. Tonight's match between his Red Stars and the Washington Spirit is a 6-pointer. Well, isn't it always when these two meet? The Spirit ended the Red Stars playoff hopes with a lightning-aided victory in 2013, dealt them a deadly blow thanks to Yael Averbush's first-time screamer in 2014, and beat them late in the season in 2015 on a stoppage-time strike from Crystal Dunn to help nudge them out of the top seed. This time around, the Spirit entered with a 2-point lead on their rivals from the Windy City with a match in hand. The last 6 meetings between these two clubs ended either in a tie or a 1-goal win for the Spirit. So we'll see if more drama is in the cards tonight. Michael Minnick alongside Danielle Malagari, and said it right there. I think this is the best rivalry the Spirit have in this league right now,
sure.
Chicago.
Sure, especially with everything you just mentioned there. But tonight, if Chicago comes in and gets those 3 points, they'll take possession of third place, and that's certainly something that, will be great going into this break.
Red Stars have lost 2 in a row, both by 2 no-score lines at Portland and at Western New York, 2 very tough places to play. I think the Spirit will have some momentum after the way last week's game ended. Late strikes from Ortega and Houston in the final 15 minutes.
Yeah. I definitely think last week's Spirit had some super subs that came on in the second half that really lifted their energy. Probably not the best that we've seen from the Spirit so far this season at home, but they're still continuing to grow with all the new players kind of being implemented into their system.
As you see the table now, Portland with a 5-point lead, but of course a match ahead of everybody. Plus, so many players in that lineup out now for the Olympics. Western New York's been the surprise of the year under Paul Riley, the former Portland coach, in second place. And the Spirit with 20 points, Chicago with 18, and the dangerous one is the one in fifth. 2-time defending Shield winner Seattle are starting to play like Seattle again.
They're down, but they're certainly not out right now. You would never expect a start like this from Seattle, but you can never count them out, especially once Rapinoe gets back into the mix and everything towards the end of the season. So don't be surprised to see them continuing to go up the ladder here.
Orlando, Sky Blue FC, FC Kansas City, Houston, and Boston rounding at the table. Let's talk more about this game. The game last week, Danielle. Francisco Ortega gets the game winner, as it turns out. A great spark off the bench last week. She starts tonight.
Yeah, sure. And you kind of have to wonder. She has obviously the experience with playing with Nigeria in the World Cup and everything that she has with the international experience. But what is she right now to this team? Is she a starter? Can she go 90 minutes? Or is she a second-half sub? So we've seen her, I guess, in both aspects. I've liked her in both aspects, but I do think she's been pretty effective coming off of the bench. So being a starter this evening, what can she give for especially in the first half to the Spirit?
I asked Jim Gabarra that question as well in a pregame interview, so we'll hear his thoughts later. Lineups for you tonight. One change in Spirit is Ortega coming in. Kelsey Weiss starts in goal. Back four, left to right, of Alyssa Kleiner, Estelle Johnson, Megan Oyster, and Caprice Didasco. In the midfield, Christine Nairn, Joanna Lohman, who was a great spark last week as well, Tori Huster, who scored the second goal. And then up top, it's Callie Farquharson, the rookie, looking for her first professional goal, still on the left. Ortega in the center, and Estefania Benini, who has really settled in nicely on that right side.
Yeah, I think my favorite player so far, at least in the last couple games, has been Benini. She's been incredibly creative on the ball. Her runs have been smart, and she has created a lot of opportunities for the Spirit inside the 18, so hopefully she can continue to grow here.
For Chicago, they make one change to the lineup from last week. Michelle Dalton keeps her spot in goal. Back four, the same as last week. Erin Gilliland at left back, Katie Naughton and Samantha Johnson in the middle. Casey Short has been superb at right back. In the midfield, Alyssa Motts will play alongside Vanessa DiBernardo, the defending Rookie of the Year Danielle Colaprico, and Taylor Comeau gets her first start in a Red Stars uniform. And up top, we expect to see Sofia Huerta partnering the former Spirit player, Amanda DaCosta.
Yeah, and watching a little bit of their game from last week against Western New York, I do think they dominated possession because they are a good possession-based team. So I'm really excited to see them live for the first time in a long time because I feel like every time they're here, I'm never here. But I'm excited to see the product that they're going to be able to continue to put out on the pitch.
Coach Rory Dames saying after the game last week, he thought they could have scored 3 when it was 0-0, got in the lead, but instead Western New York takes the lead late in the half on the goal from Leanne Sanderson, and then Lynn Williams adds a second in the 74th minute, and Western New York flipped in the second half and played very well against Chicago.
And Chicago just wasn't really able to put it away in the first half against Western New York. They had one blasted off the crossbar, a couple missed opportunities wide of the goal, but if they're on their game tonight and they're executing, I think this will be a very exciting game.
One of the themes we've had at this homestand is how many points can the Spirit get out of this to kind of build some momentum for the playoffs. They've won 2 out of 3, chance to make it 3 out of 4 tonight before they go on the road to FC Kansas City and Sky Blue FC. And we were talking before the game, Danielle, after tonight, just 3 home games left for the Spirit.
Yeah. I mean, especially like you said, in this homestand, they have gotten a certain amount of points, but they're 4-1-1 at home this season. So that's, I think, huge for the Spirit looking into this game. Can they continue to kind of have that winning mentality here at the Maryland Soccerplex?
Conversely, Chicago, after this game, will play 3 teams that are not in the playoff picture as of right now. They're at Orlando next week, then home for Houston and FC Kansas City. So if they can beat a team they haven't beaten since 2013, a big boost for them as well.
Oh, sure. And getting points here at the Soccerplex as well.
Team tunnels are coming out right now. Lineup's about to be announced. And before we get into more about this game, let's hear from the coaches. Chicago head coach Roy Dames had a few minutes to speak with me before this one. We'll hear his thoughts and be back with more pregame analysis live from the Plex. Stay with us. All right, Coach, what's been the focus in practice this week after last week's loss?
Just trying to clean up some areas. We didn't have a very good second half. Got pinned in our end a bit, didn't defend well enough in the box. So just put some specific topics in place to try to improve off that and get ready for this week.
You said after that game that you felt like the chances are there, just the finishing wasn't quite. Is that something that's fixable in practice, or is it just things falling right?
I think everything runs hot and cold. So at some point it's going to come around and we'll find our way back in. We weren't getting a lot of chances early on in winning games, getting some decent chances in losing games, so it balances out throughout the course of the season.
I think one of the stories around the league this year has been the quality of the backup goalkeepers that have been able to step in with the national team players gone. Michelle Dalton was great for you last year and has played well for you so far this year.
Yeah. I mean, Michelle led the league in goals against average last year, so we're fortunate to have somebody with that quality and that experience playing behind Alyssa. She adds a whole different level of confidence to the group, so we're happy with that.
This is a series that has been very tight over its history, a lot of one-goal games and the one tie. What is the key tonight to get 3 points and get out of DC?
I think we just be happy if they don't score on us in stoppage time again, and if we actually get to play the whole game. So, Washington's good. They've got a good team. They've got good players. Jim's done a really good job with the group. So I think the game will be close all the way through. Probably some tactical battles within the framework of it. They seem to score a lot of goals early and a lot of goals late, so that first and final 15-minute segments will be important. But we just need to be able to find a rhythm a little bit better than what we did last week.
All right, Coach, thanks a lot. Thoughts of Chicago head coach Roy Dames before this match. And fans, we want you to mark your calendars now for the 2016 National Women's Soccer League Championship on Sunday, October the 9th at BBVA Compass Stadium in Houston. Be there to support our league, support our game, and hopefully support your Washington Spirit. Tickets for the NWSL Championship game go on sale Monday, July 11th. That's this Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time at bbvacompassstadium.com, with prices starting at $20. Start making your plans now to be in Houston for the NWSL Championships. They bring in Danielle Malagiri again, and that was a game away from where these two teams were last year. Semifinal losers both. Chicago losing at home, Spirit losing once again at Seattle.
Yeah, and I think what you just said, they have created a great rivalry between the two teams and how close they have been in points over the last few seasons to move themselves, kind of both programs in the right direction, and you can see how solid both rosters are, especially this year.
Interview Roy Dames gave me, I asked him what the keys were, and as you heard, talking about how his team needed to not allow goals in stoppage time to the Washington Spirit. Here's when the Spirit have scored in the series: the 58th minute, the 50th minute, the 79th minute, the 48th minute, the 94th minute, the 83rd minute. The second minute was the only exception, the Worcester goal last week, and then done in the 92nd minute. So all those goals but one in the second half.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's where you always say it's kind of two. Obviously, it's two halves, but it's two games. Like, you can always go in and correct yourself at halftime. So let's say at halftime it's 0-0. Red Star Spirit. What is Chicago going to do to keep them keep them from scoring? The good thing is Crystal Dunn's not here to put any away against the Red Stars.
Of course, the flip side of that is no Kristen Press either for Chicago. She's had a penchant of scoring this year. As Crystal Dunn scoring, of course, for the U.S. today.
Yeah, congratulations, Crystal.
1-0 win over South Africa as the U.S. preps to the Olympics, and we expect to see that 18-player roster in just a couple of days from Jill Ellis. And interesting to see. I think Crystal Dunn and Allie Krieger are both safe, but you never know.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
And then eyes will turn towards Rio. For this match, we had a chance to chat with Spirit head coach Jim Gabara, and we'll play that interview and be back with the kickoff and 45 minutes here from the Maryland Soccerplex. Late 2-0 win. What did you see that you liked from that game?
I like that we hung in there, and we got, we integrated 3 new players in the back, including the goalkeeper, and it's not easy to do mid-season and still maintain a clean sheet. I was very happy with that. I think our attack and our our play left a lot to be desired in the first half, and I think with the insertion of Shayna and Franny in the second half, it really added a lot of energy that they didn't really have the option of matching off of their bench, and I think it gave us the little bit of margin we needed to get the 3 points.
Franny starts tonight. How do you kind of walk that fine line between having an impact sub like her and also playing her from the beginning?
It's a good question because you always want to have someone that's going to bring that energy to decide the game late in the match, but you don't want to sacrifice the beginning of the match to get out in front. And I think we've done a good job this year of getting on the front foot and getting out in front and dictating the tempo. So, I think it's a decision of are you capable of playing at least 60 minutes physically, and then this week we chose to use one of Franny and Shayna to start rather than save them both coming off the bench, because Shayna will be that late sub and that energy coming off the bench.
Yeah, I think Shayna's maybe best performance of the year last week, so I had to make that decision a little bit easier. In goal, Kelsey has not conceded from run of play, knock on wood. What has she done well so far?
Well, I think the biggest thing for her is her communication with the back line, especially with you got new players back there and keeping that all tight and everybody on the same page. So, I think she's got a good presence back there. The communication is something she's got to work on, and she's a great shot stopper. So I think the team has confidence that if she does face some shots, she's going to stop them.
As usual, Washington and Chicago right next to each other in the table. What are the keys to get 3 points tonight?
Well, I think it's going to be a tough game. They're coming off 2 losses, and they're a team that is going to fight and battle, and it's going to be very difficult to play against and really kind of get control of the game. So, one, we have to be ready for that that barrage right in the beginning of the game. I think in Western New York they could have been up 2-0 in the first 10 minutes. So we got to be prepared for that, and we got to make them chase us, and we got to get a hold of the game as quick as possible, and then settle in and defend the way we've been defending, and press them, and do a better job in attack, creating chances and executing and putting those chances away.
All right, Jim. Thanks a lot. Best of luck. Thoughts from the Spirit sidelines for tonight's match between the Chicago Red Stars and the Washington Spirit. Michael Minnick rejoined now by Danielle Malagari as the two teams get their close-up team photos before the captains meet at midfield. Vanessa DiBernardo wearing the armband for Chicago tonight, and Christine Nairn captaining the Spirit for the second straight week. Lineups again for you. For Washington is Kelsey Weiss in goal, Melissa Kleiner, Estelle Johnson, Megan Oyster, and Caprice Tadasco across the back. 3-player midfield of Christine Nairn, Joanna Lohman, and Tori Houston up front. Callie Farquharson, Francisco Ortega in the lineup after subbing and making an impact last week, and Estefania Bonini. Chicago, one change as well. Michelle Dalton is in goal. Erin Gilliland, Katie Naughton, Samantha Johnson, and Casey Short across the back. 4-player midfield of Alyssa Motts, Vanessa DiBernardo, Danielle Colaprico, and Taylor Camo making her first start of the year. And up front, it's Sofia Huerta partnering Amanda DaCosta. Benches tonight for the Spirit. The backup goalkeeper is Didi Haracic. Reserves on the field are Whitney Church, Katie Stengel, Shayna Williams, and Allie Murphy. For Chicago, the amateur Brianna Smallage is the backup goalkeeper. Field reserves are Jen Hoy, Carol Wallace, Sarah Gordon, Courtney Ratzman, Janelle Flaws, and Mary Luba. And unlike FC Kansas City last week, Danielle, Chicago has plenty of offensive options to change this game.
They do.
And Hoy and Wallace in particular.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually great at this point in the season with the international players gone to see what a solid bench that they do have and the people that they are able to put in later into the game.
I think a lot of teams learning from last year's World Cup experience where some teams are left pretty barren. Chicago was not one of them. They played very well through the World Cup stretch, but learning that backup goalkeeper is very important.
Exactly.
And just having that third or fourth option in your front line, in your midfield, that can come in and make an impact is huge. Teams breaking their huddles right now to join our officiating crew. Brandon Artis is the man in the middle. Corey Richardson and Tom Felice, the ARs, and Jordan Gray is the fourth official. And we've had a theme the last 2 weeks of referees that did not call a lot. Brandon Artis has handed out 4 yellow cards in both of his 2 games this year.
I can't really remember. I'm thinking back at the last time we had. So what was the last game we had Chicago here at the Soccerplex?
That would have been the 1-1 tie last year. Press scored in the 31st and Dunn scored in the 83rd.
Okay, all right. So I was here for that. But I'm trying to think back of kind of what were some of the, I would say, more unmanageable games. I think Seattle definitely was a physical game last year for the Spirit, but I don't ever remember it really being that way with Chicago.
Brandon Artis checks his watch, and we're ready to go. Spirit will kick off attacking the scoreboard end here from right to left in the first half. Early dump up the wing by Nairn towards Farquharson, and Short will let it roll. Casey Short from the Chicago area, but took a pretty circuitous route to get to the Red Stars as Lohman tries to win that ball. Was drafted by Boston, immediately got hurt, didn't play in a single game for the Breakers, then went overseas, and then was discovered by Chicago, has come in this year and started every game and played all but 9 minutes at right back.
And that's kind of what you want. If they're not able to make the roster or get minutes with another program, go someplace else, continue to develop, continue to grow as a player, and see if you can continue, maybe get discovered later on.
Turnover, and Bonini gets on it immediately, wrapped up by Taylor Comeau. And first start of the year for Comeau, I think that's going to be her role, is just keeping a muzzle on the likes of Lohman, Bonini, Farquharson, doing the dirty work in midfield.
That's a lot of time what midfielders have to do.
Right. Sometimes there's glamour, but a lot of times there's not.
Yeah.
Steal for Colaprico. Pass from Huerta blocked by Joanna Lohman, who finds the feet of Callie Farquharson. Spirit will try and work out of danger here in the corner as Kleiner will just play it safe and knock it out for a throw-in. Again, the Spirit with a 2-point lead on the Red Stars in the table with a match in hand. So that rain out against Houston has kept the Spirit in that status for about a month. Lohman has it blocked by Colaprico, tries again. And Farquharson was looking over the wrong shoulder. It goes out for another throw-in, but it will be the Spirit's ball off the deflection. Ortega beaten to it by Naughton. Second ball won by Callie Farquharson, and into the center circle it comes for Nairn. Houston will work it quickly for Oyster. It's like the Spirit are trying to play a little bit faster than normal, Danielle.
Sure.
Nairn in space on the right side. Nairn towards the 18, sliding it through, looking for Ortega, but an easy pickoff for Samantha Johnson.
And that's something that we've talked about in the recent games with the Spirit. They have the technical players. They have the players that are able to keep the ball and move it 1 and 2 touch. And if they continue to not bypass their midfielders, Nairn, Lohman, Huster, I think they'll continue to be able to move the ball very well. When you get into this long ball sort of game, I really don't think that suits the Spirit well.
Yeah, I think that's an adjustment you have to make without Crystal Dunn. You can play that way with Crystal Dunn a little bit.
But you don't want to with Crystal
Dunn.
Yeah, she has the speed, but she also has the ability when the ball's at her feet to do wonderful things as well.
Kelsey Weiss, who has not conceded from the run of play yet this year in 2 starts, knocking it long. One goal she led was the penalty kick to Louise Shogard up in Boston. Back on June the 10th. Spirit have already set the franchise shutout record with 6 and counting. Taylor Comeau. Short wants it wide right. Ball played outside. Kleiner on the defensive duties. Nice touch inside from Casey Short. Sets up the left foot. Short shot. Caught at the near post by Kelsey Weiss.
Great hands there by Kelsey Weiss. Kleiner has to do a better job at not diving in. She just needs to hold her feet, hold her ground a little bit better. Again, Short in that situation. I think Chicago did a great job at finding Short, but maybe one touch sooner, and I think Short's kind of off behind the back line of the Spirit and creating an even more dangerous opportunity.
Casey Short has scored a pair of goals this year, so certainly a threat from that far out and showing why there. Kleiner running it down under pressure from Melissa Motts will go back to Estelle Johnson. 20th start of Estelle Johnson's Spirit career. Shot 18 last year and now 2 in a row this year. Collision there between Naughton and Ortega causes groans but no injuries for the two. Farquharson working hard, and Naughton will come over to clean up. Rookie out of Notre Dame. Got some reps when Joey Johnson was injured early in this year. Now with Johnson with the national team, is that spot to herself for a couple of weeks alongside Samantha Johnson. As a broadcaster, it's nice because you don't have that Johnston-Johnson confusion at center back. Throw for Farquharson in the corner. First time cross is a good one, and it goes off the leg of Katie Naughton.
But we do have Johnson and Johnson on each team.
That is true. So on a set piece like this, we might have an issue. Estelle Johnson, speaking of that, has not scored a goal in this league, but came very close to getting a winner here last year in stoppage time. Had her shot blocked off the line on a corner kick. And again, with Matheson gone with Canada, Christine Nairn, the sole corner kick taker for the Spirit when she's on the field. She'll set this one up right-footed from the left side. Runs reset. Serve on the way from Nairn. Low towards the near post. Skips by a couple players. Ortega fighting for it. Ortega's shot is blocked point blank. and the Spirit will do it again.
I definitely thought that took a deflection off of somebody's hand in the box. Obviously, not call worthy. There's not going to be a penalty kick, unintentional, but it did kind of bounce off a couple of bodies there.
Huster and Oyster at the near post both have scored headed goals off set pieces against the Red Stars in their careers. Marin goes near post again, this time cleared cleanly by Vanessa DiBernardo.
I actually really like that service. Yes, it didn't really get beyond the front post, but I love the driven ball, forced Chicago to really do a good job at clearing it.
Good early serve from Caprice Didasco, but Gilliland gets 2 heads on it. Spirit went possession back, and now Didasco will try again, dropping it for her college teammate Megan Oyster. Kleiner has her pass blocked by Camo, and it'll knuckle out for a Spirit throw-in. Brandon Artis says back up a few steps, Alyssa Kleiner. So she'll do that again. Kleiner goes to the feet of Francisco Ortega, who brings it down with her thigh, has it blocked. And Kleiner will do it again, about 2 steps forward on this left side. Easy stuff for Michelle Dalton. Dalton, of course, filled in nicely for Karina LeBlanc last year. Actually led the league in goals against average at 0.92. Second in the league in shutouts, despite only playing 12 games last year with 5.
I mean, she's kind of had I wouldn't really say a rough go, but she's had some, 2 fabulous goalkeepers ahead of her with LeBlanc and Nair now this season, where she's not really able to get that start, but this is a great opportunity for her.
Alyssa Moss knocking that one into space, won by Estelle Johnson for Tori Huster. Alyssa Nair, the backup today, so you have to figure she has the edge for that number 2 goalkeeper spot in Rio, and I'm sure that's something we'll get into with our halftime guest tonight, Sebastian Salazar, our friend from Comcast Sports Night here in D.C., who is going to Rio as a silent reporter for NBC. Casey Short has it blocked by Huster. Gets it back from Joanna Lohman. Nair in wide for Bonini, making the overlapping runs to Caprice Didasco. She'll get it. Bonini, again for Didasco. Camo gets a foot in and wins the ball for Gilliland. Aaron Gilliland knocking it into space. Huerta is offside.
I really like the ball movement so far from the Spirit. It seems as if they've already kind of gotten into their game plan, which would maybe with the tight diamond in the middle of the field for Chicago, switching the point attack quick, keeping the ball moving through the midfield. I think they're doing a really good job so far.
More of an attacking posture from Caprice Didasco for sure on that right side than what we saw last week. Spirit squadron good voice tonight as Kelsey Weiss knocks it back upfield. Header won well in the air by Naughton. Fought for in midfield, won by DiBernardo, who volleys it forward, looking for the head of Huerta, but won by Megan Oyster. And Huerta a bit shaken up on the play. Spirit will continue with possession as Huerta looks to have shaken it off, at least for now. It's nice to have that depth up front, but you don't want to sub your forward in the 9th minute.
No.
That really can discombobulate your game plan. Space for Katie Naughton to bring it forward. Shaping it up on, looking for the run of Casey Short, this time the ball off the mark. Red Stars have done a good job on these throw-ins and not allowing Alyssa Kleiner to find something quickly and easily, but we'll find the chest with Joanna Lohman. Stolen away, though, by Motts. Now Huerta for the captain, Vanessa DiBernardo. Overlapping left is Gilliland. She'll get the feed from Vanessa DiBernardo, marked by Caprice Didasco. Second-year player out of Kentucky loses that challenge to Didasco. Throw deep for the Red Stars.
And that's what you have to think about, what you just said about Kleiner's throw-in. There just has to be continuous movement off of the ball. You don't want to be stagnant. See if you can find the ball to somebody's feet rather than we've seen a couple throw-ins from Kleiner to like a chest or a thigh or something like that. See if she can drop it down to somebody's feet to keep the ball a little bit better.
Camo can't turn that one upfield. It would be a goal kick for the Spirit. 10 minutes in, and a good pace to this one so far. No clear-cut chances apart from the shot from Casey Short that went into the gloves of Kelsey Weiss. And it seems like whenever I look up and look for Francisca Ortega, somebody has a handle on her, a body on her. She has not been given any space so far to do what she did at FC Kansas City last week. Megan Oyster for Didasco. Picked up by Amanda DaCosta, ball forward looking for Ortega, and won by Samantha Johnson.
Every time a ball comes into Ortega, she's contested. There's never an opportunity for her to turn and face.
Reset button for Michelle Dalton and the Red Stars. She'll find Katie Naughton, who's playing center back, but has really shifted to that right side when she's had possession. Alyssa Motz with time on the ball. Goes right looking for Casey Short and too far. Kelsey Weiss, no problem.
Yeah, Naughton's really getting kind of getting pulled out because Short's doing a great job at kind of attacking on this flank. You know, one great opportunity so far from Short, but I can continue to see her attacking Kleiner this whole game.
And it seems like Johnson's the one that's been marking Ortega for the most part, allowing Naughton to be a little bit more free to shift over. Naughton, though, wins that header over Ortega. Great ball through from Naren, but a little too far for Callie Farquharson.
And that's the vision from Naren that you absolutely love. The ability for her to see Farquharson before the ball even gets to her feet and play a one-time volley through. It was a great idea. It's a little bit off the mark.
Motz evades Lohman, looking for help in a sea of red and blue. She'll find Casey Short, who dodges the tackle from Lohman. Good switch left to work in Gilliland. Didasco over to Mark. Gilliland attacking the 18. Step over moves. Gilliland beats her. Takes the left-footed shot, blocked by Oyster. It'll stay in play for Oyster for a second, but now it will go out for the corner. Erin Gilliland has never scored a goal in this league, which is surprising.
That was a great amount of skill for her to kind of beat Caprice Didasco. Didasco did really well. Looked like her feet kind of got caught up a little bit, wasn't able to keep up. But Megan Oyster came in and kind of cleaned it up for her. But no, that was some great 1v1 work by Gilliland.
Corner on the way from Chicago. DiBernardo is over it and has a short corner option as well. Is played short, touchback for DiBernardo and blocked by Estefania Bonini. Out to the top of the 18, Gilliland will keep it alive with a header. Battle in the box, still loose. Johnson gets it up. Flag is up on the near side, and now the referee sees it and blows a foul against Chicago.
I'm not really sure who that was on because it looked like a decent 50-50 ball with Oyster in behind. It didn't really seem like it was offsides to me. But nobody's arguing.
That's right. Kelsey Weiss working on the spot. She and Tori Huster will be the subject of our halftime feature. One of those fun little games where you get a question, you know, what is Kelsey Weiss's favorite food? And Kelsey writes it down, and Tori writes it down.
Were they good?
Very funny spelling moment in that video. I'll tease that. Stay tuned for that at the halftime. Colaprico going over the top, but too far. And Kelsey Weiss for a second, I thought she was going to grab that. Instead, she adjusted it down. Steal from Short. Too far for Motz, deflected by Huster. Falls to the feet of Danielle Colaprico. Parkinson doing the hard work defensively. And finding Alyssa Kleiner, who will go back to the safety of Kelsey Weiss.
I think a lot of something that Kleiner has to clean up. She's given a lot of balls away over here on the left side. A lot of Chicago's attack on their right side has come from giveaways from her. So she just has to clean it up a little bit on this left flank.
Naren, it's good distribution from Weiss to find Ortega on that play, but Chicago 2v2 marked that well. Ortega will drift right, get on the ball from Caprice Didasco, fake the cross, go inside. Ortega to the end line and runs out of space. Appeal from Naren for a foul. And it looks like Christine Naren will get her wish. A free kick for the Spirit.
Certainly.
On the edge of the end line there, which Naren will take. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. She was held. You know, she did that kind of fake shot, took it end line, looked to serve it, but she was certainly held and wasn't able to get anything off.
Nice
very good call.
Nice wrinkle from Ortega to shift wide, get a different matchup, and get something she likes. Ortega at the edge of the 6 for the Spirit. Everybody else making runs from the left side of the 18-yard box for Christine Naren's service. One player wall for Chicago is Amanda DaCosta. Lefty ball on the way from Christine Nairn. Towards the middle, towards Huster, volleyed out.
Christine Nairn's on the ball. Not really used to taking those.
What do I do with this?
Yeah. She looked for the quick restart. Nobody was really ready.
I'm a kicker, not a thrower. Ortega's cross is blocked. Spirit will try again. Bonini for Nairn. Drop back for Didasco. Showing forward is Huster. She'll get it here. Didasco and Ortega playing catch. Now Oyster will find the feet of Francisco Ortega. Katie Naughton for Johnson. Colaprico getting deep to get the ball. We'll play it forward off the deflection. Looked like where to handle that as she did. Free kick for the Spirit.
I think right now, I would say at this point, the Spirit have kind of settled into their game a little bit better than Chicago. Chicago's been a little bit more direct than I expected them to be this evening. In watching their game last week against Western New York, they certainly have the ability to knock the ball, and they play a really good game when it's on the ground. We really haven't seen much of that this evening from Chicago.
Ortega gives away there to Camo. And really, you know, I think Colaprico is their best player on the ball, or DiBernardo.
Yeah.
You saw how deep Colaprico was on that ball. You can't really, you know, make combinations happen when you're 20 yards into your own half.
Right.
Throw for Chicago. A sunny day at the Maryland Soccerplex. A stark contrast to the first time these two played here, where it was delayed by rain, and the second time they played here, it was stopped by lightning. Spirit got the win in that one. A goal from Lupita Warbis. And that win, as I mentioned in the open, knocked Chicago out of the playoff picture mathematically. Corner back for Weiss. Tweeted the stat earlier in the week, entering that game that the Spirit won by lightning. The Spirit were 1-14-4. Since then, they've been 26-19-14, so a turning point in this franchise's history, you could say, that 1-0 win in the Lightning over Chicago.
1-14-4. Wow.
I try to block out sometimes how bad 2013 was.
Not pretty.
It did end well, though. There was hope for the next year, and then the Spirit went from worst to fourth and made the playoffs.
Yes.
I mean, that first year
Baby
seemed like
steps.
that first year it was just, can Matheson make something happen?
Yeah.
If yes, maybe we can get a tie.
Yeah.
If no,
Can they get a penalty kick in the 90th minute?
The serve from Naughton. And once again, Sofia Huerta offside.
I think something that the Spirit may want to think about, now that they're seeing how direct Chicago has been in these first 19 minutes or so, kind of drop their line a little bit sooner. They don't want to get into a foot race. You know, a lot of these services have been dropped in behind. Drop a little bit sooner if there's no pressure on the ball and try to keep the ball in front of them.
Well, and like you said, what has worked well for them? Getting it wide to short, not playing direct over the top. Kelsey Weiss has hit some good free kicks. Another one off the head of Francisco Ortega. She'll try again. Turned over, though, to Vanessa DiBernardo, who guides it forward. Right to Kleiner, though. Nairn for Huster. Possession off the foot of Colaprico and into the hands of the Washington Spirit.
It's got to be frustrating, especially for Ortega right now. A lot of the services aren't coming to her feet. She's trying to have to bring everything out of the air. I was never a target striker. I was a midfielder or a defender, so I'm sure it's pretty frustrating time after time not being able to keep it as that target striker.
Nairn for Bonini. Nice layoff for Ortega. Give and go for Bonini in the box. Bonini shot in. 1-0 Spirit in the 20th minute.
A great little 1-2 there. Or I guess a ball into Ortega and then the ball slotted through for Bonini. As she was approaching the goal, I was like, what is she going to do with this? But what a great first touch towards the goal. Boom, far post, right foot. Well done for Bonini.
Second of the year. Bonini from Ortega. First assist of the year for Ortega, and We've been harping on that left foot for
Yeah.
Estefania Bonini.
Yeah.
There it was.
I think, we really didn't get to see the build up there, but that's exactly what you want. You want to try to find that creativity around the 18. I think it was Nairn that played it into Ortega, and then
Yes.
Ortega just really slotted it through for Bonini. Not an easy angle for Bonini to finish, but very well done.
Something I was thinking about this week, Danielle. The combinations this team has played to create chances and create goals have been fantastic.
Yeah. And when they play simple and smart, the Spirit are a very, very good team. They have the flair in Bonini and in Dunn when she's here, and Ortega as well.
The middle 15 minutes of the first half continue to be a trouble spot for the Red Stars. They've now conceded 4 of the 11 goals they've allowed this year in the middle 15 of the first half. The Spirit scored for the first time in the middle 15 of the first half this year. Washington undefeated when scoring first all time here at the Plex. And the 5th time they scored first against the Red Stars. Didasco. Blocked. DaCosta on the move, working it left. Cross in low. Good job there from Kleiner to hold off the run and allow Kelsey Weiss to come. It was DiBernardo coming through.
Both Estelle Johnson and Kleiner did a good job at getting a body on DiBernardo, so she didn't have an open kind of touch there right at the top of the 6.
Spirit 5 wins and a draw this year when scoring first. The draw, of course, was the Boston game where Stengel scored, and then the Breakers got a PK right back. Chicago this year, 2 losses and a draw when conceding first. Panini from Ortega in the 20th minute, the difference in this one so far. On the Spirit's first shot on goal of the night. Megan Oyster, the Chicagoland native, winning that header for Estelle Johnson. Right, it comes flicked on well by Farquharson. Sam Johnson forced back by Ortega to Michelle Dalton. I'm a believer that even when, as a goalkeeper, wearing pants and weather like this is not going to be comfortable.
Yeah.
Michelle
It
Dalton.
can't be.
Michelle Dalton doing that tonight. Kelsey Weiss in the more comfortable shorts.
Or even the long sleeves as well.
Yeah,
it's
right.
torture for us up here.
But I guess it's workability over comfort. You don't want to
guess.
scrape up those elbows or your knees. You want to prevent bleeding. I understand.
Yeah. This is a beautiful surface. You're not going to get scratched up here.
Whistle behind the play as Kleiner was slid into by Alyssa Motts. Free kick for the Spirit. Michael Make and Danielle Malagari here with you from the Maryland Soccerplex, where the Washington Spirit are looking to win their 3rd of 4 on this homestand. And I mentioned in the open, I think momentum carryover from last week where they were able to break up a pretty drab game, really, and score 2 goals in the last 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Kansas City.
and especially for Tori Huster to get her first goal in a significant amount of time. I'm sure that was kind of a relief for her, having put in so much time and effort into these last couple, I guess 4 years you could say, because she's been here since the beginning.
First time since April 26, 2014 she scored, and that goal was a game winner on a header against Chicago. Huerta trying to run this one down on the left side. Oyster in pursuit. Huerta will get to it first. Tries to cut inside and will win a corner. Come the Red Stars center backs, in which the corner jogs Vanessa DiBernardo. 3 assists on the year for DiBernardo. She's now played in 36 straight matches, making her 50th start for the Red Stars tonight. And she talked about her comfort. She feels like she's a lot more comfortable this year, playing in a more advanced role, getting on the ball more than she has been in the past.
I mean, she's a very, very technical player, and she's really fun to watch.
Good ball towards the far post, towards Motts, headed into the hands of Kelsey Weiss.
But kind of going back to what we were just saying, I feel like Chicago haven't really been able to get her on the ball very much this evening, because they have bypassed the midfield a significant amount with some of their services.
Right, I mean, I'm not sure we said it. Amanda DaCosta's name more than 2 or 3 times on the left side. Juggle from Nairn towards Ortega, one in the air by Katie Knott, and another ball to Ortega's head rather than her feet.
Yeah.
Johnson will try again, calling for help. Nice touch from Amanda DaCosta left for Taylor Como. Como looking for help. Will go up the line for Sofia Huerta. Appeal for offside from Houston, not given. Work from Didasco in the corner will win her team a goal kick.
And a lot of Chicago's attacks, if it's not, a longer service, they are just trying to find the flanks. They're not really trying to find anybody inside to lay it off for a shot from in the middle of the field. Most of it has come down the sidelines.
And going back to the point we were talking about a minute ago, it's been Huerta left or short, wide right. None of the midfielders are getting touches in those positions. It's been a forward or a defender. Tangle there. Lohman appealing for a foul, not given as she tangled with Alyssa Motts. DiBernardo on the ball. Going left for Sofia Huerta. Touches it around Didasco. Plays it in the middle, but Tori Huster in the right spot at the right time again. And a good turn from Ortega. Can she run it down the sideline? She can. Not a lot of help, though, as Franny will double back, see that, and play to feed here. Turn from Lohman. Again for Ortega. Has Farquharson up the line. We'll play it for the rookie, Callie Farquharson. Farquharson against Samantha Johnson towards the 18. Step over move. Into the box on her left foot. Played on the 4 for Benini. Tried to lay it off for Lohman, and it's cleared. Nairn knocked down behind the play. And we'll continue with Chicago with the ball in midfield. Casey Short with space. Tried to lay it in for Sofia Huerta, but not the right angle, not the right pace on that one, and Kelsey Weiss again with a touch.
I think something I would have liked to see from Short in that situation is try to attack the space in behind. There's so much, about 30, 40 yards behind Kleiner for her to attack on that flank, rather than playing that ball directly to Kelsey Weiss.
Katie Naughton allowed to turn as the Spirit dropped off their pressure. Here's Danielle Colaprico. Good ball to find Como. Nice precise ball left too far for Gilliland, though.
Right idea.
Yep.
Definitely the right idea. I think that's what I would like to see more of from Chicago.
Callie Farquharson now for Huster. Spirit work out of trouble on the sideline. Here's Joanna Lohman for Nairn. A lot of space now for Alyssa Kleiner. And Short had to come back and mark Benini. Here's Estefania, the goal scorer, on the ball now. Left again for Alyssa Kleiner. Chip towards the top of the 18. Brought down to the box by Ortega. Ortega! Blocked on the line. And a whistle anyway. A foul on Ortega.
Yeah. As that ball was being served by Kleiner, I was like, what exactly is she going to do with this? But what a great, Ortega did such a great job at trying to bring that ball down. In midair, might I add.
What a great first touch. Samantha Johnson will restart for the Red Stars, who have been on their back heels since the goal. 20th minute from Estefania Benini, assisted by Francisca Ortega. So far so good with Ortega in the starting lineup rather than coming off the bench.
Sure. And I think that was also probably the best kind of build-up from the left side so far in this game, with Kleiner getting more involved in the attack. But that all came from the Spirit switching the point attack as quickly as they did.
I think Tori Hughes has been fantastic.
Yes.
Today. Finding Nairn now, going left now for Kleiner. Too far.
And this is what you want to see from Nairn and Huster. And Lohman, she just kind of runs around like crazy. She's awesome with the energy that she brings in there. But this is what Huster and Nairn are good at. They are great at switching the point of attack with these longer diagonal balls and finding the feet of maybe the outside backs or the strikers with those longer balls.
Continuing theme throughout the league has been, who steps in for these players that are on national team duty. The Spirit have been able to rotate the same 4 in the midfield. Lohman, Matheson, Nairn, and Huster, and they've been great.
And you noticed, earlier, I guess in the week, Joanna Lohman tweeted something about reserves winning the game for the Spirit. They aren't really reserves. They may be substitutions, but look at all the experience that these players are bringing in with the likes of Crystal Dunn and Allie Krieger being out and with LeBay being out. they train day in and day out with one another. They work hard for one another. They're here for each other, and they're just a good, solid team, regardless of the minutes that they put in every game.
Amanda DaCosta on the right now, trying to beat her former teammate Estelle Johnson, and gives away a throw-in. And we'll have a water break due to the temperature, which I was not aware was going to happen. So for a second there, I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
But let's reset the first part of this first half, Danielle. Spirit lead 1-0. Estefania Bonini and Francisco Ortega combining nicely.
Yeah, I do think, like I said earlier in the match, I think the Spirit have really found their game early on in these first 45 minutes. They've been able to knock the ball really, really well, and if they continue to do that, I think they will continue to find the spaces in behind the Chicago back line.
Here was the chance again a minute ago from Francisca Ortega. Here it is. Melissa Kleiner did a nice job getting all the way forward. A good cross in, brought down by Ortega. Tried to touch around the defender, and I didn't see much of a foul there myself. Brandon Artis did, however, and blew the whistle.
He's a little bit closer than we are. I definitely think there was some amount of contact.
So is this break good for Chicago to kind of hit the reset button, regroup a little bit? They've been outplayed so far in this one.
Yeah, I do think the Spirit kind of have the upper hand at this point. Obviously, when the 1-0 lead at this point. But yeah, for them to kind of talk through and maybe just get back to the style of play that they're used to, just knocking the ball. When they're creative with it and they move it, they do some really good things.
Just the second goal the Spirit have scored in the series in the first half.
Yeah.
The previous one was in the last meeting. Megan Oyster from Christine Nairn in the second minute. And that was kind of a neat thing because Megan Oyster had her first professional goal wiped away by that lightning storm that called the Washington-Chicago game. So they made up the game in August, and Megan Oyster scored again. Clock is being reset right now. Actually, it's stopped for a second, and now it's running again. So
yeah. I'm actually surprised the officials are allowing as much coaching as what is going on right now between the two huddles.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the prescribed time is for this, where a minute stoppage, 2 minute stoppage, I'm not really sure. Probably the first time we've had this happen at the Plex. I've seen it on the road, especially in Houston for the Spirit. But I'm not sure we've had this happen at the Maryland Soccerplex before, but I think it's a good rule.
Yeah, and I was just thinking if they were going to have it or not, because it certainly has cooled off since kickoff. It's actually pleasant now. Earlier it was not.
And that's one of those things where I think the referees measure that, an hour and a half before kickoff, what the temperature is at that point, and that's what they go by. So, like you said, it's cooled off considerably. There's a bit of a breeze the whole evening, but now it feels a lot more comfortable.
Well, for us, because we're in the shade. I don't know about those people over there on the far sideline.
Farquharson and Didasco and the Spirit Squadron might not be too happy right now, but we feel a lot better. We'll restart with a throw from Melissa Kleiner, who played that good ball into Francisco Ortega for that chance you saw during the break. Throw goes long for Huerta, who touches it off for Alyssa Motz. Now it's DaCosta playing it off of Nair and Bonini for a Red Stars throw. Casey Short again goes up the line for Huerta. Touch inside for Alyssa Motz. Gets the cross off, blocked by Estelle Johnson, and out for a throw in deep for Chicago. Husband on the near side will make sure to adjust her position. DiBernardo. Broken up by Ortega, doing some defensive work, and a nice layoff as well to Estefania Bonini. Pass though blocked by Colaprico to the feet of Amanda DaCosta. Pressured by Huster, she'll go left. Working Gilliland.
That's a great bit of work from Ortega to come back and win that ball.
Cross from Gilliland, headed and just wide from Amanda DaCosta.
And this is what we were talking about earlier in the match, finishing those type of chances for Chicago. Like against Western New York last week, those were the types of chances that they weren't able to finish.
Correction, that was DiBernardo with the header there, not Amanda DaCosta.
Well, going back to what I was saying prior to the opportunity for Chicago, is it's great seeing Ortega track back and win those balls, but then there's nobody for an outlet higher up the field because Farquharson and Bonini are dropping back as well.
I think Chicago, as Huster was fouled, I think Chicago has picked up their game a little bit after this water break.
Well, I do think that was an unfortunate tackle by Motts. I really think it was unnecessary.
Motts gets a warning and nothing else from Brandon Artis. Huster back on her feet, still feeling the effects of that.
Those type of tackles hurt. They sting.
Merriam will restart things and get it back from Melissa Kleiner. Switched right into space for Didasco, and I like that she played that ball on the ground and let Didasco right onto it. Ortega showing. First time ball wide right is behind the run of Callie Farkas and out for a throw-in.
And I think Naren and Huster have done a great job. We talked about this a few minutes ago in the midfield, being able to switch the point with those, and that's what you want to see out of them. Be able to connect side to side.
Spirit lead 1-0 on a goal from Estefania Benini in the 20th minute, assisted by Francisca Ortega. Second goal of the year for Benini. First assist of the year for Franny. And that's now 2 goals and an assist in her last 4 games for Estefania Benini.
And does that go the same for Ortega? 2 goals and an assist in the last 4 or 5 games, I think?
You're right. 2 goals and an assist in the last 4. You're exactly right. Casey Short. Switch towards the middle, towards DaCosta, behind her and Megan Oyster both. Now to allow Didasco into the play, and she'll turn and look upfield. Farquharson chipping it forward. Headed into the pass. Actually made things easier for Ortega, but it's touched back by Naughton, and Dalton with a nice clean touch to pick out Sam Johnson. Bernardo shows for it, gets on the ball, turns on the dime, and plays it right for Casey Short. Short against Kleiner, towards the 18. Short sets up the left foot, cuts it back on the right. Estelle Johnson there in support will clear it to Benini. DiBernardo wins it back. Short for Motts. Now Casey Short again on the ball. Short's left-footed shot. Similar to the crack she had him go in the first couple minutes of this one, but again, Kelsey Weiss there to make the save.
The last couple of times she's attacked, she's certainly cut towards that left foot. She needs to maybe try to get end line and see if she can get a service off. I mean, her shots have been great, the 2 that she has taken so far. Kelsey Weiss has cleaned them up nicely, but maybe be a little bit different with your movement when on the ball for sure.
Punt from Weiss off the mark, this time out of bounds for a throw-in. 3 shots on frame for the Red Stars, 2 from Casey Short. Just 1 from the Spirit, but they made it count. The goal from Estefania Benini in the 20th minute, the difference in this one. Red Stars now have not scored since Casey Short scored in the 62nd minute, and whistle here, and immediately the trainers call it out for an injury at midfield. I believe it's DaCosta that's down.
And it was a 50-50 ball between DaCosta and Oyster. Oyster obviously won the ball, but I think also might have nicked DaCosta as well. And DaCosta immediately fell to the ground.
Kelsey Weiss out here, of course. Florida State alums both. Weiss and Amanda DaCosta.
Oyster got a small talking to, but I really don't think it was a malicious foul. It wasn't even originally called as a foul. And I don't even know if maybe it'll be a drop ball. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the location where DaCosta was in the field, obviously she's in a dangerous position right in the middle. So, like you said, it might have just been Brandon Artis playing it safe, and it looks like it's indeed going to be a touchback from the Red Stars. Although they are bringing some numbers forward, so maybe it won't be.
Huh.
The ball was certainly down the field when the whistle blew.
And this is, I'll say something after the play.
Red Stars are going to play it. It's Colaprico gets it on the right side. Short. Back for Colaprico. Benini on a horse trying to chase her down, and Colaprico has to go back to Johnson.
DaCosta's back on the field. This has got to be a hard time for athletic trainers because especially at this level, players are going to say, no, I'm good. Let me back in. I can do this. But she did take a pretty serious knock for her to fall immediately to the field.
And normally in the 40th minute, you say, well, maybe we'll give it a couple minutes to get to the
Yeah.
half. But because of the water stoppage
Yeah.
and because of the stoppage there, you're probably going to have, I'd say, 3 or 4 minutes at least of stoppage time. So
Yep.
now instead of waiting 5 minutes, you're waiting about 8 or 9 minutes to make an evaluation on DaCosta. Huerta. Colaprico. In space again for Casey Short, and she knew she was going to have a tough time running that one down, and that's where you think as a defender, if I can't get to this, I'm just going to get back and play defense.
You have to be smart, especially in this weather, and how much Casey Short has been able to get forward.
Moss is going to see yellow here.
Yeah.
Hard challenge on Bonini, and I think not only that foul, but Moss has had a couple hard
Yes,
collisions in
she
this
has.
first half.
Well, she already had the talking to earlier when she went after Huster after the play.
So Mott's booked in the 42nd minute. The 3rd yellow of the season for her, so 2 away from that 1-game suspension. I think that's the first yellow card we've had in a Spirit game since all the way back against Orlando. I think Zadorsky got one in that one. Serve from Estelle Johnson, bounces into the boxes, volley cleared by Casey Short. And Acosta flicks it on. Huster knocks it back the other way. Motts for Short. Katie Naughton. Looking for Huerta, but won by Kleiner. We mentioned the trouble that Ordegas had with the ball at her feet. Haven't seen Huerta, except on that left side, really get a chance to attack a defender with her feet.
Yeah, we really haven't said her name much this evening.
Didasco.
But a lot of the times, though, because maybe Chicago are sending those longer balls in behind, is because you don't really see the Chicago front checking to the ball and wanting it at their feet.
Naren thought Huster was going to keep going, and she didn't. Possession knocked away by Motts, and Casey Short will take a look and find Katie Naughton's feet. Bonini's going the 20th minute from Ortega. The difference in the first half here is the Washington Spirit look for their 6th win in this series in the last 3+ years, and 7th in a row without a loss against the Red Stars. And as close as these two teams have been in the playoffs race the last couple of years, those head-to-head games have been huge for the Washington Spirit, especially 2 years ago when they were 4th and the Red Stars were 5th.
And that's what you want to see. Obviously, in regards to all the other professional leagues here in the U.S., this is young. It's very young, but these are the types of rivalries you want to see built over the years.
Short's throw for DiBernardo. Touched forward looking for Huerta, but won by Alyssa Kleiner. 2 former college teammates, Huerta and Kleiner, battling here on the near side. Bonini can't keep that one in play. Brandon Ar's already showing he's one of those referees that really likes his throw-ins taken from the exact blade of grass the ball went out. Kleiner's header forward for DiBernardo. Short. Back for Naughton. Nice eye of the needle pass to find Amanda DaCosta. She'll work left, lay it off. Gilliland. Back to the top of the 18. Taylor Comeau. Motts is open. Motts, right-footed shot. Caught by Weiss, and Sofia Huerta was right there just in case West gave up a larger rebound, but bounced it straight down like a basketball, kept it in touch. And
A great
now
little build-up, too,
Yep.
by Chicago, being able to find Johnson, being able to find DaCosta kind of right through the middle of the field. I think Camo was just a little slow to get the ball. I think maybe she could have ripped something from the top of the 18 there.
knocked out for a throw-in. Taylor Camo, looking like someone that hasn't scored a professional goal.
Yeah.
Didn't have the confidence to just rip it from 25 yards. 4 minutes of stoppage time. We're into it now here at the Maryland Soccerplex. Estefania Benini on the left side. In our halftime show, we'll have some fun with Kelsey Weiss and Tori Huster, and then some fun on live with Sebastian Salazar, talking NWSL, USWMT, NT, and the Olympics. Lots of topics. I'm sure we'll have more topics than time with Sebi. Camo. Back again for Naughton. Charles tries for the penetrating ball. It's deflected by Naren, and I guess that was handled by Naren. Be a free kick for Chicago.
It's also got to be a little frustrating for Gilliland at this point. They really haven't been able to find her on that left flank. She's opening up really wide. She has a ton of space. But Cabrice Didasco is doing a good job at kind of sliding out and denying a ball into her.
It's definitely been Casey Short heavy when they've attacked up the flanks. Colaprico behind Motts, cleared by Alyssa Kleiner into the stands. Just about. The story of the last couple of minutes. They wait for the penetrating ball from a center back, and this time it's a good one to find Motts. She'll let it roll for Short, and that allows Kleiner back into play, and she'll knock it up for a throw-in.
Seemed like a slight miscommunication there from Motts and Short, not really knowing who's going to go for it.
Both were in good positions. If they had taken that one, it would have been danger for the Spirit here on the near side, but Red Stars do get a throw in the end. Step and win from Benini. And we'll play the game again. Naughton for Johnson.
I do think since the cooling break, the Spirit have been a little bit more on their heels, defending a little bit more than in the previous 30 minutes.
And certainly haven't really mounted a lot of good attacks.
Yeah.
They've had some possession,
Yep.
but nothing in a dangerous location. In the third minute of the 4 minutes prescribed of stoppage time here in the first half of the Maryland Soccerplex. Spirit leading 1-0 on a goal from Estefania Benini from Francisca Ortega in the 20th minute. Two forwards in form for Washington the last couple of matches. Ortega chests it down, turns, looks for options. Take it herself. Taken away from behind though by Colaprico and cleared by Katie Naughton.
Colabrico did a really good job at staying with Ortega in that play.
So here behind the play. While we have a second, we remind you that to mark your calendars now for the 2016 NWSL Championship on Sunday, October the 9th at BBVA Compass Stadium in Houston. Be there to support our league, our game, and hopefully your Washington Spirit. Tickets on sale starting Monday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time at bbvacompassstadium.com with prices starting at $20. Start making your plans now for Houston NWSL Championship. And Danielle Malagari, what are the plans these two coaches are making in the locker room with this 1-0 lead for the Spirit?
Sure, I think Chicago should be happier with their movement of the ball there in the last 15 minutes of the first half. I think the spirit will go in saying, hey, let's get back to what we were doing earlier in the game, moving the ball well, switching the point of attack through the midfield. So just kind of tweaking a couple things here and there, seeing what they can bring out in the next 45.
See Callie Farkas and Caprice Didasco on the screen right now. I thought Didasco had one of her better matches in a Spirit
Oh,
uniform
yeah,
in the first half.
absolutely. When they were able to get her up and she was able to join the attack, I thought she did really well. I think most of the play was over here on the left flank because Chicago was trying to attack out of short, and then it would just continue to stay here. I don't think Didasco or Farguson really got on the ball as much as they probably would have wanted to in the last 20 minutes or so.
So with the Washington Spirit leading the Chicago Red Stars 1-0 at half, we'll step aside for a bit. Hear from Kelsey Weiss, Tori Houston. Be back with Sebastian Salazar. You're watching the NWSL on YouTube. Welcome. Buries it!
But this is right. You're just not thinking about yourself hard enough. But I have two answers, but I'm just gonna go with this one. Sorry.
Ready, set, go.
Oh shoot!
I was right about you,
She's
right?
I'm wrong. Yep, thank you.
Wait, is it soccer or no?
Soccer.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
This video should be about how well I know you.
I know.
Period.
I don't know.
Hey. But did I spell it right or you spelled it wrong?
Oh, I spelled it right.
Oh.
Wait, appropriate. Oh, like not
No
a curse
curse
word.
words. I hope my mom's not gonna see this.
I know what you say all the time.
I don't know.
Ready? Bye. I don't even know.
I think we used to play this, so. Oh yeah. Got him.
Not her favorite, like the type of cereal. Can you see it? Don't look.
I mean, I already wrote mine.
It's just my favorite. Oh, I was gonna put that one.
Oh. Come on, Tor, come on.
I don't even know who I like.
Yeah, you do.
Duh. Yeah!
You're such a loser. I think I'm like 5 for 5 on Tori, right?
Why are you not getting more excited? Oh, come on. I said this. I said this when we did the 3 different things.
I know. Oh, I think I know, but I might be wrong. I hope I'm right.
Yeah! Good memory.
I don't know.
They would not make you survive them.
I know, these wouldn't either, but it's fine. Well, for a little. Ready?
Yeah. Coffee.
That's good.
Country music. So you don't go insane.
I wouldn't be living for very long, but it's fine. Oh, got it.
Little red. That's what I put before. Most things country.
Well, me, but
This is funny. Let's do it all day. We can hear you.
About me. Are you done?
Stricker?
How do you spell
You
it?
spelled it the same way!
This one. Everyone is gonna know I'm a terrible speller now. Okay, well I won, so.
Because I got what type of cereal you'd be.
Sorry.
What type of cereal would I be? Captain Crunch.
Something red.
Welcome back to the Maryland Soccerplex. Michael Minnick alongside Daniel Malagari and my other former broadcast partner
That's
with the
right.
Washington Freedom, Sebastian Salazar. Thank you very much for joining us.
Great to be here. Lovely night, good attendance, and pretty good first half so far.
Yeah, what do you make of this first half so far? Two teams that I think are as usual, fighting for a seeding for a playoff spot.
Yeah, well, I have to be honest. I did our show at 6 o'clock on CSN in Bethesda, so I got in a car and raced up here. I, of course, missed the goal, but thank goodness for the Our Game Magazine Twitter feed. I got
Right.
to see the nice little build up there between Benini and Ortega. Great finish. And then, the last 20 minutes or so seemed to be pretty even. Lots of action kind of in the midfield. Neither team separating too much. I saw a really nice first touch from Franny Ortega. It surprised me. Maybe it shouldn't have, but boy, when she gets that quick turn, there's not a lot of people that can stay with her, and she's got some pull-away speed. So I'm looking forward to seeing a little bit more of her in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about her before the game. Is she a 90-minute player for the Spirit? What is she capable of doing for this team? We've seen her start and we've seen her come off the bench, and she's done great things at both times. So I think she's still trying to figure out her groove right now. With
Yeah,
the
and I
Spirit.
don't think we've seen the best of her yet.
No.
Certainly not the best
No.
of how she fits into this team. Obviously, more minutes are going to prove whether she's a 90-minute player or not. But in the limited sample size we've got so far, I'd say she's been really effective, not just scoring herself. I was here 2-3 weeks ago when she gets a strip score
Right.
and a great goal, but also kind of creating for others and setting that defensive pressure up high, which is so important in soccer to kind of defend as a team. You got to have your forwards doing that, and I think she's an athletic, a physical enough presence to really bother some defenders, maybe trying to build out
And
of the back.
she's even come back a
Yep.
couple of times in the defensive end to win a ball or two. So she's done a really good job so far
A
this
very
evening.
honest player, I'd say, and I know coaches really appreciate that.
Yeah.
You're someone that sees this league, I think, more than most because of your weekly show, which is such a fantastic resource for me and for the rest around the league.
Hoping we
We'll
get to plug that.
Absolutely. Yes. How do you think the Spirit's kind of Olympic roster right now, with Dunn gone,
Yeah.
with the Canadians gone, kind of matches up with the rest of this league?
Honestly, guys, and maybe I'm a little bit biased, just know more about the Spirit watching them. They're a little bit closer to home. I think they're set up really well. Obviously the back line loses a lot of experience when you lose an Allie Krieger and a lot of class back there. So you have to rely on an Oyster to maybe step up and be that more vocal leader in the back line. But she plays a position that demands that anyway. So I think that's not really that much of a reach for her. Look at this midfield. I mean, you got so much talent. Lohman, Huster, Bonini is kind of an out wide slash role. She can cut in, she can play make, she can create. And a lot of teams in this league, and really at any level of soccer, men, women, any professional level, you have to go out and find goals. So you often go to the international market. So I feel like other teams are losing more in their attack during this, during these international absences. The Spirit, obviously, you can't replace 15 goals. You can't replace Crystal Dunn. But I feel like the rest of the pieces are there where it's going to take them less time to get up to maximum speed with this new attack, with these new players.
Absolutely.
They don't have to change what they do a whole lot. So I feel like they're really well positioned to not just survive, but maybe thrive relative to everybody else with their big names gone.
And with the exception of, I think, Jess Kleiner, most of this team played together last year,
Right.
when everybody was gone for the World Cup as well. So, this team is really, really clicking well because they had the experience from last year as well.
Yeah, and you'd think, new coach, overhaul, but basically Jim Gobert is the only change. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so much of this team that's,
Yeah.
that's kind of back. And one of the things that he told me one day when I was out of practice coming into the season, they really wanted this team to not rely on Crystal Dunn.
Exactly.
We saw it early on in the season. She picks up those 4 assists. She's obviously emphasizing passing, not just for this team, but also for her role with the U.S. Women's National Team. Obviously, it's something that they want her to work on. So I think that, lessening the dependence on Dunn has really set them up well
Right.
to succeed now that she's gone. And they figured out a way to do that, keep in the top half of the table, be above the playoff line without her scoring a goal, which, really, really important for this team.
Speaking of Crystal Dunn and scoring, did get the goal for the U.S. today. 1-0 victory. I didn't get to see much of that because I was traveling down here. But how do you kind of feel like the U.S. is shaping up as they and you head to Rio?
Yeah, it's interesting. Hope Solo said something in the pregame interview today that made me think two sides of the fence. So she basically said, hey, look, this is a team. We're going to play our best soccer late in tournaments. We definitely saw it last year at the World Cup. They are a progression, right? They're a work-in-progress team that peaks at the right time. I love that attitude because it says we've been here before. We know how to play a tournament. We know how to gear up for a semifinal, final. That's where you win tournaments. It also gives me a little bit of concern because this is not the same team from 2015.
No.
It's not that team on the end of a long cycle. It's a new team, and there are players who haven't been through that process of figuring out a tournament and figuring out their roles and really peaking at the right time. So she said that. I think we really saw that today. I mean, the thing that I came out most impressed was with South Africa.
Yes.
They're under pressure the whole game, but the organization and really the ability to last-ditch scramble defend, which they did really, really well. I know you can't rely on that in a game because sometimes those saves off the line, you don't make them.
Right.
They deflect off an Ian into your net, and that's the difference between maybe 1-0 and 4-0. But I was really impressed with them. I was really excited today to see both Crystal Dunn and Mallory Pugh in the starting lineup. Of course, they hook up for the goal. But I think it's going to be really tough to pick what that starting lineup is. I saw the starting lineup today. I said, man, that's a strong 11. And then I'm like, oh, but you don't have 3 or 4
Carly
players
Lloyd.
who
There's no
we've
Carly
seen in
Lloyd,
the starting 11.
Right.
Exactly.
Over the last year, Lindsay Horan, Tobin Heath, kind of those key players. So there's a lot of tough choices for Jill Ellis, not just in the 18 to make that 24 to 18 cut, but to decide what your top 11 is and then who your 3-4 options are off the bench.
But those tough choices are great to have because when you see the retirement of everybody that left from last year and then potentially maybe some more retiring after this major tournament or a few years into the next World Cup, those are the options that you want to have going into the next couple of years in producing this program.
Yeah, I don't think Jill Ellis minds. I mean, it's the toughest part of her job, but it's also a luxury that she has that, let's be honest, very few other national team coaches have.
Right.
No other national team coach has that much depth to pick from.
Sure.
We were talking about it before, former Spirit goalie Ashlyn Harris. Is she going to be on, one of the 2 that actually gets to play? Boy, I mean, Ashlyn Harris is not an Olympian. I mean, or not, probably going to end up as an alternate, according to a lot of people. That speaks to the quality just at that position, and it's all over the board.
Sadly, we could talk all day.
I know.
In fact,
I know we could.
and if
We
you want to
really
stay for
could.
the second half of it, you're more than welcome to do so.
Yeah,
but we'll
sure.
have
I'll
to-
check it out from up here.
Yeah,
I love the view.
We'll take a commercial break here. Be back with the second half here from the Plex. Stay with us.
Hey!
Are you in town for another meeting?
Yep, I brought my A team.
Make the most of the weekend before it's gone.
This is my family. This is Joe.
Hi there.
Be a weekender and book your stay at Hampton. Feel the Hamptonality.
Welcome back to the Maryland Soccerplex. Michael Minnick alongside Daniel Malagari and Sebastian Salas are kind enough to stay with us for a few minutes. And a change at the break as Chicago is going to bring on the amateur Janelle Flaws out of Illinois, her first professional game.
And you have to wonder, what is she going to kind of bring into this match for Chicago, because I do think Chicago started to kind of really fill into their game as the first half continued on.
Looking to see who came off for Chicago. And it looks like Jen Hoy's on as well, so it might be a double switch for Rory Dames at the break, and it is. DaCosta off, Mott's off, Flaws and Hoy on. So it might be a formation change as well.
I mean, I thought Mott, other than, the yellow card that she had, I thought she had a decent first half. But that's tough, especially with this weather, with this heat, making 2 subs at halftime and only having 1 left for the next 45.
Hoy and Mott's are a couple players who seem to always show up in the highlights, and we do our weekly highlight segment. So I'm really encouraged and excited to see Hoy get a little bit of run. She's always in behind that defense. She lives on that offside line. She's a really exciting player, and she's going to be dangerous for Chicago for sure. 13
career goals for Jen Hoy, and as I said, it's a debut for Janelle Flaws, who scored 54 goals at Illinois in college. 4th round pick of the Red Stars, and didn't make the roster right away, but I'm sure they said, stick around a little bit, you'll get your shot. And when the Olympic break came,
give us a chance.
On she came.
Yeah, the amateur delineation is so misleading. I mean, some of these players, you look at their college resumes, and to call them amateur is, it's kind of a disservice to the quality and the level of their play. Obviously, that's the structure of the league, but boy, there are some really good players kind of hanging out there just waiting for a shot.
Well, the good thing is hopefully within the next few years there'll be some more expansion teams like that of Houston and Orlando. So maybe, the ones that are amateurs on like the Spirit and the Red Stars will have a place to call home.
Ortega and Johnson slowed to get up, but both now back on the field. It's like Johnson got the worst of that. And you look at these two teams, it's like Ortega might be booked here.
I thought it was
Brendan
a decent
Artis
50-50.
is digging in the pocket and will now make a notation.
He certainly did warn Ortega, right there at the end of the first half, but I did not think that was card-worthy.
She's one of those players, she kind of clatters into people. It's her style. It's, I don't think, ever really intentional.
Yeah.
But, she's one of, like we said, she's a pain to play against. I can really imagine as a center back and outside back, she's just relentless, and that can get under your skin.
Only committed 1 foul before tonight, so first card of the year. Headed down by Johnson, kept on alive for a moment. Ortega trying to get revenge now as she works up the right side. Cut back move on Colaprico. She'll drop it for Didasco. Inside of the feet of Ortega, who tried to guide it wide for Farkason. Farkason does charge through and get a touch, but then it's Janelle Flaws on the ball. And going back to the point about the amateurs, you've got 2 in this game, and Kleiner and Comeau that were amateurs last year earned roster spots this year with Washington and Chicago. Kleiner on the ball now. Estefania Benini, who scored the only goal of this one in the 20th minute. Trying to get a step on Casey Short. Cuts inside on Short. Drops it now for Kleiner. Kleiner's left-footed cross blocked. She'll still trying to get it clear, and she'll find DiBernardo. Well, Sebi, you're headed to Rio. You were saying kind of during the break that you're not really sure in terms of flight plans and all that as the flag is up. Do you know what day you're going down? Anything like that?
I do know that. Yeah, we're leaving July 30th. Obviously, first game August 3rd, New Zealand. So we'll land in Rio. We'll kind of throw all our stuff in a hotel, and then we'll get on the road to Belo Horizonte for a couple games, and then to Manaus, and then we'll see where the seating takes us from there. But it should be about 72 hours in Brazil before that first broadcast. And with our great team, I have very little worry that we'll be up and running in time.
I think that New Zealand game is intriguing because I think Colombia, with Rincon now out, becomes a weaker team in that group. New Zealand might be the team other than France that's going to give the U.S. the most trouble.
Yeah, I really like the group, actually. And not because it's easy. I thought Colombia might present a little bit more of a problem. You're right, the Rincon absence is a huge dagger for them. And New Zealand's going to be tough. I could see it being a lot like a South Africa game. Very close, very difficult to break down, packing numbers behind the ball. I really like having France, probably one of the other more talented teams in the tourney, in a non-elimination game.
Right.
Because it gives you that opportunity to really see, to really test yourself in a spot where you're not going to get knocked out if something goes wrong. So I think it'll get them up to that speed that they want to hit earlier in the tournament than maybe another team that won't have to face a France when it's not everything on the line. You also avoid France in the knockout phase.
Casey Short beating Kleiner. Short in the box to the top of the 18. Shot deflected off of DiBernardo's foot, and here comes Nairn the other way. 4-on-4 for the Spirit. Right it comes for Callie Farkason. On the left side is Benini. Farkason for Ortega. At the top of the 18, Ortega has her shot blocked by Gilliland. Just a little too slow in developing there.
I mean, there were certainly, I think Farquharson took far too many touches on the ball in that moment. She had Bonini. If she maybe would have slotted Bonini through on that left side, or she did a great job at finding Ortega as well, but I think it was, like you said, a little bit slow to build in that moment.
47th minute, by the way, the time on the yellow to Francisco Ortega. So booking both ways, but Motts has been subbed off for Chicago, so Ortega the only player on the field right now in danger. Christine Nairn went near post with her first 2 corners in the first half. We'll see what she does with number 3 here. Served in again towards the near post and headed out. Nairn will get a second look at it. Nice ball towards the far post over everybody. Huster was the closest to it.
She strikes the ball so clean.
With both feet,
Yeah,
right and left.
Yeah, she's one of the best in the league at it. I mean, you think about it when she hits one from 30 yards on frame, but the service from wide, the service on the set pieces, whether it's a corner kick or a free kick, she's just so consistent. I know she probably wanted to get it over the first defender on that corner kick to the near post, but she's so good. And I love the fact that she wears the all black cleats.
Yes.
Nobody does that
Old
anymore.
school.
You're a true baller to me
Yeah.
if you do that, because it's different now.
Oh my gosh. I remember back in the day, we used to have polish parties, you know, when we go to ODP tournaments and whatnot.
Yeah.
Our coach insisted that we did it. And we used to bring that black in with us and black all of our Adidas stripes and our Nike signs. That was the way to go.
Spirit restart with Bonini. Nice back heel for Alyssa Kleiner. Touch inside now for Lohman, off the mark though. Foul behind the play though, and Spirit will get a free kick. And again, Christine Nairn can show off that left foot again.
Bonini is a fun player to watch in person. Huh? She's very tricky, very shifty, really good in tight quarters. Saw a little bit of that in the first half. She's a player that if you don't watch the Spirit a ton, you might not know a lot about her, but she's a big part of this attack, and she's becoming an even bigger part with the international absences.
The prototypical, once she scores one, it just starts flowing for her. She's had 2 good preseasons for the Spirit, missed most of last year with injury. Served from Nairn, this time towards Ortega, touched on for Huster. Back for Bonini, tried to touch it over the defender there, Jen Hoy, but will keep fighting for it and steal it away. Bonini on the right side, double teamed now by Gilliland and Hoy. Still on the ball, the Argentinian. Inside now for Ortega. Has her shot deflected and nobody there in red and white to clean up.
And I think going back to what you just said about Bonini is she didn't really have last year to develop due to injury.
Header back by Nairn, who made a good diagonal run through. It'll fall for Lohman. Lohman's left-footed shot. Takes a couple hops into the chest of Michelle Dalton. Good decision there, I think, from Lohman just to say, you know what, I'm open. Catch the keeper by surprise. Maybe I'll get screened and get a clean look.
Sure. And this is kind of the part of the game where Joanna Lohman comes alive. We really haven't said her name too much so far in this game. And she may have been quiet in the first half, but this is kind of her time to shine.
Red Stars with the 6-4 advantage in shots right now, but it's the Spirit leading 1-0 on a 20th minute goal from Estefania Bonini, assisted by Francisco Ortega. Both those players have 2 goals and an assist in their last 4 matches.
You mentioned Joanna Lohman. I don't know if people give her credit for how physical she is.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen some of the header goals this year, but right there, she uses her body really well to turn on the ball and create that space for the shot where there really wasn't much wiggle room for her.
And she is such a small frame. She has such a small frame. I'll say a little story about her. I had a couple of people down on the field with me. A coworker's kids were down on the field with me before the game, and the little girl goes, "Oh, the girl with the mohawk, she looks like she's really good." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's Joanna Lohman. She's fantastic."
The Joe Hawk.
Farquharson through for Ortega. 1-1 at the top of the 18 against Naughton. Gets a push, stays on the ball. Ortega looking for help. Plays it inside for Lohman, and her shot whips wide off the near post from her right foot.
It looks like Farquharson was setting up for maybe Joanna Lohman to kind of let that through. Maybe a little bit better communication between the two of them.
The Pokemon has been a sensation the last couple of days. The Wild Joe Hawk has been spotted at the Maryland Soccerplex.
Maybe Lohman pulling rank there, right? Farquharson behind her, maybe in a slightly better spot. But Lohman's a veteran. She's earned the right to take that shot.
Knocked on by Huerta. He was dropped back a little bit with these 2 forwards, Flaws and Hoy coming on. Huerta's playing as more of a attacking mid than a forward right now. She's trying to get her on the ball, I think, at this point. She hasn't had too much to do in this game.
She's another player, always ends up in the highlights. You know, if she's on the field, she's making something happen.
Ball looking for the run of Gilliland, and out comes Kelsey Weiss to hit with her right foot.
And I think with how Chicago played, especially in the first half, with the longer services that they were looking, Kelsey Weiss has been very, very smart off of her line.
Oyster will let it roll and then knock it out for a throw in deep. DiBernardo, the captain, shows for it. Kept alive on the sideline by Gilliland. Touchback for Vanessa DiBernardo. In tight spaces, tries to nutmeg Farquharson and runs out of space. It'll be a goal kick.
Every time I play with my kids and they nutmeg me, I say, it doesn't count if you don't get it back on the other side. So that doesn't count.
Especially when you knock it out.
Right, exactly.
Unless it's somebody you know. Then if you meg them, you know, even if you don't get to it, especially at this level, a lot of these players know each other. You make somebody you played against in club or in college, I bet you might be a text or two exchange.
A little wink after.
Loman knocking it on Ortega, gets a step on Samantha Johnson, has Benini in support, tried to reverse the combination that got the first goal and couldn't do it this time.
I like the idea there.
Shayna Williams has her sub card in hand. She'll be the first change for the Spirit and was a great spark last week in the victory over FC Kansas City. Nearly got her first professional goal.
Saw it there, Ortega's ability to turn and generate speed, man, that's unique.
And earlier in the game, I was wondering if she was 90 minutes fit because she looked kind of like she was dragging towards the end of the first half. But now that the sun's setting, it's getting a little cooler. Maybe she can continue to just work her magic up there.
I asked Jim Guevara before this game, you know, how do you kind of delineate that line between starting Ortega and bringing her off the bench? He said, if I can get 60 out of her, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Right about at that point. So it might be Williams for Ortega here. Narin for Loman. Knocked over the top, Ortega in pursuit again. Has Farquharson behind her. Ortega towards the end line. Cuts back, looks for help. That goes off the defender last. She might have gone out of Ortega last, but it will be Gilliland that gets the last foot in. Corner for Narin in the Spirit, and up come Estelle Johnson and Megan Oyster. Nobody has an outlet for Chicago. Everybody defending this set piece.
I know you said 60 minutes, but I'd be real slow to take Ortega off of this.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, she looks very alive right now.
Serve from Narin towards the far post this time, towards Loman over the Joe Hawk. She'll run it down on the side and let it roll. Sebi, I'm curious to see what teams you most want to see at the Olympics that maybe you haven't seen before or think can maybe be a sleeper for a medal.
Yeah, you know, I'm really interested. I've seen a lot of them, but I'm really interested to see what Canada is able to do. Can they repeat or maybe even improve upon the bronze from 2012? They got quite a few of the same players, quite a few Spirit players, so we'll be watching for them. Canada's a really interesting storyline to me. France, of course, you know, what they do to the United States in that final group phase match, and then kind of how that plays out for the rest of their tournament. And Brazil, you know, what is Brazil in 2016? They're the host country. If you look at some of the casino odds on who's going to do well in this tournament, Brazil has really good odds. So people think that home field advantage is going to benefit the Brazilians. I'm not sure. I want to see Brazil kind of prove that to me first. So there's some teams that I think, you know, obviously can give the United States trouble, but the U.S. has to be the prohibitive favorite, and I think that's how we want it. You know, this is the team that's the best in the world. They proved that a summer ago, and it should come as no surprise, despite all the changes, that they're the favorites to win gold.
Benini's cross is blocked. Williams on, by the way, for Callie Farquharson. So Ortega gets a touch in. Yeah, and I think one storyline that hasn't really been talked about much, this might be Christine Sinclair's last major tournament.
Yeah. The queen of the ugly goal this season in NWSL, huh?
Flaws cross towards the far post, towards Gilliland. Heads it on goal. Great save from Kelsey Weiss and cleared by Estelle Johnson. Gilliland has never scored an NWSL goal. She might not get a better opportunity than that.
And we were talking about her in the first half. That was a great strike by Gilliland, but also an even better save by Kelsey Weiss. I'm not really sure what happened after the play.
Also just been maybe a secondary collision on that serve in. But player down for Chicago. I'm trying to get a number right now and can't tell from this angle.
It's really tough to do for a goalkeeper. Huh? She's coming all the way across the goal. She gets that power dives, gets that paw out there and makes a save. And up here you had a perfect angle of it too, right? We saw that side netting was kind of a gape. And she makes a really, really big save.
And that's what you teach at all levels, kind of going back towards that near post, going back in the direction where the ball just came from, because the goalkeeper's going to be offset a bit.
Chance again. Dardasco had her marked pretty well, but Gilliland got herself in a great position, forced the punch from Kelsey Weiss, who, as we said earlier, has not allowed a goal from the run of play since taking over for Stephanie LeBay.
Yeah, and Kelsey Weiss, again, with that great save, she's somebody that has struggled to be a starter on a team in the NWSL. She certainly has the ability to be a starter in this league, and it's just a shame that she's kind of been behind LeBay and Harris, obviously two great goalkeepers as well, but maybe something for her if there is an expansion team that comes around. Here's another look.
One more look at that chance. Really good diving save, and a good job as well to guide it away from the Red Stars player that was at the far post.
Yeah. So maybe, you know, there's a continued future for her in this league if she can find a place where she becomes that number one.
DiBernardo is the player that was shaken. I think the second time she's gone down today. Shaking off the injury right now and rubbing her temples as she talks to the trainer and the fourth official.
You know, we see it in NWSL. You see it a lot in MLS too. The difference between a starting goalie and a backup is so small. You really do a great job. For all the youth soccer development chatter that you hear, we do a great job making goalies in this country. And so you've got players who are, you know, the best goalies in college coming out every year, and they can't find work in either league.
Yeah.
It's really tough to get a starting professional goalie job in American soccer.
When I was talking before the game, Barnhart's probably the number 4 for the U.S. right now. She would start for most of the national teams in the world. Steal for Ortega. Loses her footing. Walk there as Johnson got the initial tackle in, and then it's cleared by Katie Naughton. Lohman. Kleiner wants it back up the line. Instead, Lohman will turn inside and find Tori Huster's feet. Will go against Alyssa Kleiner. It will be a toss for the Red Stars in the 63rd minute. Goal from Benini in the 20th. The difference right now. The Spirit looking for their 6th one-goal win just in this series.
Love that pressure moments ago from Ortega. She's not just good at winning possession, but she wins and turns it upfield so quickly.
Through ball for Flaws. Weiss is out to volley it out for a throw-in.
And that's certainly what you were talking about earlier, you know, in halftime about Ortega, what she's able to bring, kind of on both sides of the ball.
Cross towards the far post, caught by Weiss. Intended there for Flaws.
Sometimes you want your forwards to just kind of set the line, but she does so much more than that. I mean, she is really good at closing down those center backs. When they think they have 3 touches, she makes them take 2. And if they try to take that third, they're in trouble.
By the way, I called 4 games by myself Tuesday, so this is just a luxury. I can just kind of like tee you 2 up and you can go. Touch back to Kelsey Weiss now.
And that was for the Region 1 tournament, correct?
Yes, that's right. Did the U16 girls and U16 boys finals, and then the 17s as well from beautiful Marshall University in Huntington, West Virginia. Santino Carranza's team winning the U17 boys championship 4-1.
Celtic, right?
Yeah, that's no, that's
he's Pipeline.
Yeah, Pipeline,
right.
Pipeline Black. Yep.
Yeah, man, Tino, we got to work with him a lot at CSN last couple years for DC United coverage. Love that guy. Great mind for soccer, great stories for soccer, and he's got some really good teams coming up. Literally, the Pipeline out there in Baltimore. I know he's got one of his daughters plays on a team that he tells me is just really, really good.
Yeah, my team played him in State Cup this year.
Cross from Shannon Williams towards the far post, intended for Benini, and a good job to head that one out by Katie Naughton, and it'll be a throw-in. Yeah, the Pipeline Black team had already clinched their spot at National because of, you know, the play they did in the National League. So they didn't need to win that game. They still won 4-1. Looked very good. It's Loudon. It's kind of funny to see a DC team play a Virginia team in West Virginia. Cleared out of the corner by Casey Short, who's had a quiet second half after being really active attacking up that wing in the first half. Tori Huster. Didasco cuts back. One D Bernardo. Didasco will try the left-footed shot. Didasco, and what a gorgeous save from Michelle Dalton.
Yeah. As Didasco ripped that shot, I was like, this is a beautiful shot, a good burst. And look, her teammates are going over and celebrating with her as if she just scored, just gave her a big hug. But what a great save by Michelle Dalton.
Didasco and Gilliland have not scored in this league. They're saying,
No.
what do we got to do to score in this
Exactly.
league?
It's got to be better than that, apparently.
How good is Michelle Dalton? Been?
Yeah.
She was awesome last
Yes.
week. Awesome. I mean, big dramatic saves and key moments.
Yeah.
She's a keeper, literally.
Yeah, it was had the lowest goals against average in the league last year as a backup for Karina LeBlanc, and then lost her job when she came back. Ball in towards Lohman, deflected towards the near side. Ortega trying to shield for a corner. Will keep it in touch for Shayna Williams. Flag is up and Francisco Ortega is offside.
From this view up here, she looked more even than off, but that's why we're up here and they're down there.
Tough job for an AR on
Yeah.
that side where you're coming off a corner, ball served back in, a lot of bodies in flux there.
Let's think about this the other day. What does Tori Huster have to do to get kind of back on the edge of that national team? She gets the goal, which is a rarity for her. But it's obviously not what she's on the field to do. But I think that kind of piques people's interest. It gets them talking about her again. And remember, beginning of last year, she gets called in. She's kind of on that fringe. She's at least in the conversation. And I would like to see her get back in that conversation.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
she's a wonderful player.
And I would say probably towards the end of last season, maybe her confidence was dipping a little bit. She did have to fight a little bit of injury there towards the end of the year, but I certainly think this season has been more consistent for her. And hopefully that's something she can continue to do.
Shayna Williams will track this ball down on the right side, go one-on-one, get across off towards the far post, punched by Dalton, loose in the box. Lohman denied on the doorstep by a clearance. And now Chicago will try and counter through Jen Hoy. And I think Tori Huster maybe picked the wrong window. There's a tangle there. Picked the wrong window to have a little bit of a dip in form, because last year I think was when the window was open a little bit more to bring new players in, and she was injured and not in form and couldn't fight her way back in. If she was playing like she is now, then I think she would have been called.
Yeah. She's still young though.
Yep.
You know, she still has a big career ahead of her.
26 years old out of Florida State. Now playing in her 71st game for the Washington Spirit, a franchise record.
The first year we had the Spirit, we were here. We just said, can we clone Tori Huster?
Played center back, played center mid, played all over. As Ortega's beaten to that ball by knocking out for another Spirit corner. Their sixth of the match. Come here in the 68th minute.
She does such a good job just eating up that space, protecting that back line. I mean, it's all the cliches, but it's really what's demanded of that role. And she does it so well, but it's, again, the stuff that doesn't jump out to people when they watch a game. So obviously it's the stuff that, Jill Ellis or the coaches that take a look at her in that regard will be looking for, but maybe fans don't quite appreciate just how valuable she is to this team.
Certainly.
Nairn will hit it lefty again, so she's been outswinger from the left side. Towards Lohman at the far post, punched by Dalton. Williams will pick it up on the other end as Dalton resets her team. Drop for Estefania Benini. Benini will try the cross, knuckled off the deflection from Flaws. Good defending there from the forward Janelle Flaws. Spirit regroup through Lohman, who finds Megan Oyster. Benini's Spirit's formation is all over the place right now. You've got Benini playing as a holding mid instead of a forward, and now they'll finally fix things, get Kleiner back on the left.
I don't mind that ability to interchange. I think it can really mess with your opposition and their marking, their assignments.
Huerta turning and finding Colaprico. Deflected by Ortega. Nairn with space. Nairn will try the shot from deep, and that was always going wide.
Yep. We've seen that before out of her, though. We've seen blazers from her
Literally
from
right
that
from
position.
that spot.
Yeah.
I can rewind it in my mind.
Yeah.
She did have Shayna Williams overlapping here.
Back comes Chicago the other way. Here's Jen Hoy on the right side. Has flaws in the box. Will try and play it to the 18 for DiBernardo. Flicked on now for Taylor Comeau. Comeau's shot blocked by Oyster. And now the counter run for Estefania Benini. This game really opening up as the Red Stars try and break an almost 3-game scoreless streak. Ortega posting and turning. Has Williams off her shoulder. Plays it for Shayna Williams, who's onside. Williams trying to shake Gilliland. Playing it square for Ortega. Turn from Ortega. Shot from Ortega and well wide from the left.
Yeah. And you look down and you see Caprice Didasco was wide open on the right flank. Ortega's feeling it tonight, but I think in that moment maybe Didasco would have been a better option to play it wide and see if they could get a service off.
2 changes left for the Spirit, 1 for Chicago. The Red Stars made a double change at the break, bringing on Janelle Falls and Jen Hoy. The Spirit threw Shayna Williams on about 10 minutes ago.
Well, she's been really good since coming on, huh?
Mm-hmm.
You say sometimes you don't call a player's name. Well, she's been on for 10 minutes and you called her name 3 or 4 times, making a difference off the bench.
I think there were some questions around the league when Jim drafted 2 forwards because he already had quite a few, but Farquharson and Williams have done a nice job integrating into this team and giving them something that the other forwards maybe did not. Kleiner trying to keep it alive and will give up a throw in instead of a corner.
As we know, you can always turn a forward into something else. You know, make them a winger.
Yes.
Make them an outside back for all you care. But that forward instinct, that ability to create in the final third, you like to have at any spot in the field. So the modern game, some of the more dangerous players are outside back.
Yeah.
So, I don't think you can ever have too many forwards on a roster.
And I was thinking today how rare it is for somebody to do what Crystal Dunn did, which is the reverse.
Right.
I mean, she played some forward in college, sure, but to go from an outside back to a forward and be an MVP level outside forward. Spirit leading 1-0 on a goal by Estefania Benini in the 20th minute, assisted by Francisca Ortega. Chicago now has not scored since the 62nd minute at Boston back on June the 18th. Were shut out in their previous 2 games in a 0 through 72 minutes so far tonight. Didasco pushing forward. Overlapping is Shayna Williams. Williams' first time cross goes off of Gilliland, a corner on the way for Washington. We'll see Katie Stengel right on cue. Nice option on a corner kick, and she'll replace Francisco Ortega. Good 72 minutes and change for Franny, who departs with an assist. The game winner as things stand now. And we were talking before the game, Danielle, that Katie Stengel has done some of her best work as a substitute this year.
Yep. And that's an interesting change for me because I think Ortega's brought a lot to this game. I think her energy's been good on both sides of the ball, attacking and defensively. So hopefully Stengel, when she gets in there, can continue to bring that because I think Franny Ortega has been an integral part of this game this evening.
And not that Ortega can't do it, but Stengel great, back to goal, hold up player. Maybe you figure Chicago's going to come for the last 20 minutes. When we have those clearances, we're going to need a big target up there to try and find, hold it up, and let us get into the attack.
As well as someone that can defend set pieces for you the other way. And Aaron immediately tries to pick out Katie Stengel, and immediately she scores.
Okay, so you know what? I'm never going to question a substitution again. I appreciate her first touch as a goal. Very well done from Stengel.
Does Jim Guevara call the owner now and say, hey, look at that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the magic touch right there.
Now, actually, Bill Lynch is sitting right below us. I'm surprised you haven't heard him yet this evening. But hey, what a great first touch. We saw it last week, or we saw it a couple weeks ago with Sam Kerr with her first touch.
Yeah, that was a great
goal. And then this evening with Katie Stengel.
Stengel's third of the season in the Spirit in the driver's seat, up 2-0.
I'll never question it again. I mean, the whole entire time she had Dalton shielded with her movement. She started in front of her, just shifted directly to her right, and boom. First touch of the game is a goal.
And it's funny, you'd think that the person that's on the goalie would be the most accounted for, but oftentimes that player can slip free as they peel back, and that's exactly what she did. Credit, too, on the ball. I mean, you put it in that dangerous spot, whether your guy gets it or the other guy gets it, something bad is going to happen. It's very, very dangerous where that ball was.
And the Spirit have really varied their service from there, and these set pieces went short early, and a little bit longer, and now they split the difference and find Katie Stengel. Second straight game, the Spirit have had a goal from a substitute forward. Estefania Bianini once more. Inside for Stengel, who turns and lays off Wookie Brasheda Williams, but that's cleared only as far as Schuster. Heavy first touch gives it back to Taylor Camo. Be a critical 3 points for the Spirit. It would move them into second place for now over Western New York, who are playing Seattle at the same time, and I know how much you folks hate us spoiling scores, so I'll let it go.
I mean, you're on the internet.
Cross from Gilliland towards the far post and out.
You really get complaints about that, huh?
Absolutely. The first year, and then we kind of stopped. My rule is if it affects like a playoff race, I'm going to mention it. You know?
Right, got to, yeah.
And we'll have the water break now in the second half. And short and sweet from Emma Poon, our PA announcer. Chicago came out of the first water break and played better. We'll see if maybe they do so here. And not a bad time to make a sub either. We can kind of talk with that sub, get everybody on the same page.
Sure, but they only have one left.
Burned, right?
You know, I think that's a tough change to make. 2 subs at the beginning, you know, of the second 45. I think that's a tough change to kind of rebound from.
I think any coach will tell you, if you make 2 subs at halftime, there was a miscalculation
Sure.
somewhere, or
Yeah.
something played out very differently than you thought it
Exactly.
would. That's really rare.
Especially if somebody, you know, we have seen a couple of Chicago players go down. You don't want to have to use your third sub for that injury.
I wonder if taking DaCosta off might have been injury related.
Yeah,
and
certainly.
Maybe the other change was more of a tactical move. So we see the replay again and the chance and the goal from Katie Stengel, and round of applause and a hug between her and Megan Oyster after striking that one. And Katie Stengel's like, I'm good. I'm in form right now. We don't need a water break.
Yeah.
Let's go.
You know, DaCosta knocked heads with Oyster there in the first half. That might have done. I know they say 2-0 is the most dangerous lead in soccer, but even since the goal, I think the Spirit look more likely to get the next goal, to get that third. I think it's going to be really difficult for Chicago to find a way back into this match.
I don't think we've seen Chicago play their style of game this evening. You know, especially last week against Western New York, I remember watching a little bit, and I felt as if they dominated a lot of the possession. Yeah, I didn't get to watch the second half. I definitely didn't get to watch the second half, but I did think that, you know, when they kept the ball down and they played simple 1 and 2 touch and knocked it, I thought they did a really good job.
Did the same thing last week too. They subbed at the half after playing a pretty good half.
Yeah.
They were down 1-0 just like they were tonight, but they took Hoy off at the break, brought Walls on, and then the second half was all Western New York.
Yeah.
Remember, as you lose those international players, you're now moving players who are not maybe 90-minute players into a 90-minute role, so they may not last quite as long. Maybe there's only the faith to give them those 45 minutes. And that may have been the plan from the beginning.
And I would think that would be the case with somebody like Taylor Camo, but DaCosta and Motts are veterans of this league.
Right.
And I was honestly surprised to see DaCosta go back in to finish that first half. It seemed as if it was a pretty dangerous hit to her head.
Back into play from Kelsey Weiss. Stengel fighting for it. It'll be Bonini picking it up in the middle. Taking it tough from Colaprico, and Brendan Ars will let it go as the Spirit keep possession. Kleiner nearly has her pocket picked by DiBernardo, and Spirit will now knock it left for Estefania Bonini. Stengel drawing the defender outside, now she'll get a touch. Space for Alyssa Kleiner. Heavy first touch to set up the cross. Now we'll whip it in towards the far post, towards Lohman, and caught by Michelle Dalton, who's had a good match, despite allowing 2 goals. Rodega and, Bonini and Stengel on the board for Washington tonight. It's cleared. Last change on the way from Chicago, and it's Mary Luba coming on for Jen Hoy. So Hoy, who came on at the half, doesn't even finish the second half.
Was there anything in the injury report? I didn't even get a chance to look at it. Was there anything in the injury report about Jen Hoy not being
Colaprico was probable, and so was Gilliland, and they're both going to finish this game.
I mean, it's just visual, but she jogged off the field. They're
Yeah.
looking fine.
Yeah.
I really thought, you know, I really like her game. I like her aggression in that final third.
Turning cross from Stingle towards Shayna Williams and nearly nodded it in at the near post there, but
The rookies want something out of this match this evening.
Wouldn't it be crazy if Shayna Williams scored and you had 5 forwards for the Spirit that have scored goals and Crystal Dunn's not one of them?
She'll have her time. She'll have her
Yeah,
moments.
I think she'll catch up.
You know what? I think it's okay considering she scored today for the national team. We'll let it slide.
You said that earlier. If she scores 10 in Rio, I think she's okay.
I would love that. Talk about a storyline.
Well, you saw her do it in the CONCACAF qualifying quite
almost
nearly.
In one game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite a tournament, man. That was great. I think going into that, you had a lot of questions about what the team would look like this summer, and coming out of it, you thought, man, this is going to be a very different team, but also a very good team, maybe even better. Scary to say.
Well, I think it was a great proving ground for Canada to give Zadorsky and LeBay and players like that a lot of minutes in a big competition to show that they could do it.
Were you guys super disappointed in the final, how Herdman kind of decided to go without some of his studs in that game? I wanted a proper championship, and you know, a little bit, I know it was a close game, but felt like we were robbed of that a little bit.
Especially between those two.
Yeah.
Right. And I get it, he's got some aging players, and he, you know, doesn't want to take a risk. Not much time between the semis and the final, but it just would have been great to see the U.S. and Canada each at full strength with something on the line.
When as it turned out, as the ball comes through for Flaws and dispossessed by Oyster, it turned out that Stephanie LeBay was, I think, the number 2 at that point.
Yes.
And now she's definitely going to start in Rio, so that was a big final for her to get some experience in a game like that. Christine Naring. Right for Shayna Williams. Didasco charging hard in support. Williams cutting inside and dispossessed by a tackle from Kumo.
And those are the types of runs you want to see out of Didasco because she can run all day. And they're on as well.
The other outside back, Kleiner plays one in by Michelle Dalton.
You mentioned a run from Didasco. You got to reward it.
Exactly.
If you're Shayna Williams, you got, I mean, an outside back makes that 60-yard run.
Yeah.
Whether it's a smart thing to do or not, you almost got to reward them for the effort. And also to keep the defense honest, to respect the overlap.
Knocked out by Kelsey Weiss. Spirit have one more change left, and it's going to be Whitney Church for Christine Nairn. Penn Stater for Penn Stater. Whitney Church has kind of been the victory cigar for this team. Coming on the last 10 minutes to kill off a lot of games.
In a different position than what we're used to seeing her play, obviously, but I guess we can say we are used to seeing her play because she has gone in as a holding center midfielder in these last couple of games and earlier on in the season.
So Nairn does her job, a picture-perfect corner kick to the head of Katie Stingle for the second goal, and her day is done.
Talk about versatile players, certainly with Jill Ellis, and you'll have to trim that roster to 18. It's the same here in NWSL. A versatile player, someone who can play at the back in that holding midfield role, like a Church, so valuable, especially when the international absences start to kick in and the injuries start to pile up around this time of year.
Throw for the Red Stars, and Brendan Artis will say, taking it in a different spot. What, maybe a step to the left there, if all. Short. Good cross towards the middle, chested down by Huerta, trying to turn Oyster. Back to the top of the 18. Di Bernardo shot wide.
We've certainly been able to see her hit even in other games that she's played this season. She can certainly strike a great ball from outside of the 18. That's not somebody you want the ball falling to.
Di Bernardo, another player that has had good chances and hasn't scored yet this year in NWSL. 3,631 the attendance tonight on a warm summer evening at the Maryland Soccerplex, the 4th game of this 4-game homestand. Spirit will head on the road for the next 2. Switch towards Gilliland, headed out by Didasco. And we talked about going to this homestand, Danielle. What was the number of points the Spirit wanted out of this? If they can get out with 9, that's pretty good.
Yep.
Ooh, bad tackle there. As Gilliland and Didasco get tangled, it'll be a free kick for Chicago. Bad in terms of just the timing. It was a little bit late and a little awkward.
I didn't even see it. I kept following the ball.
Talk about a way in for Chicago. Set pieces like this. You can't create from the run of play, this is where it's at.
DiBernardo trickles towards the near post. You're not going to do it like that, short of all the runs. Spirit 5 minutes plus stoppage time away from their 7th shutout of the year. Already a franchise record. The record before this was 4.
And you're only halfway, slightly halfway through the season.
Gilliland. Cross towards the far post, headed out by Tori Huster. Spirit have some good players forward. It'll come left for Katie Stengel. 3-on-1 right now as the Red Stars midfield recovers. Ball inside for Bonini. Bonini takes a bad touch there. First touch to set it up. Second touch went off her ankle.
I was hoping for a chip or something
Yeah.
from her. I thought that was where she was going with that touch.
Maybe too much time to think about that one.
Yeah. And Shayna Williams had so much real estate in front of her as well.
Great quick build-up, though. You got Lohman springing it, Stengel, perfectly timed, perfectly weighted ball. That's how you counterattack.
Switch left for Erin Gilliland. She'll run it down. Spirit aren't back in numbers right now, and it comes across, and the one player that was back, Caprice Didasco, blocks that out for a corner. Tori Huster was sprinting back so hard she ran into the back of the net.
And we're in the 86th minute of a game where it's so hot you got to take water breaks. I mean, that's the type of player Tori Huster is. Really. Box to box doesn't do her justice. It's end line to end line stuff.
DiBernardo served towards the middle, headed out by Estelle Johnson. Might have been a handball there. Kind of came off awkwardly from Gilliland, but she recovers and drops it for Colaprico. Dalton well out of 18. I was watching the ECNL game before this one, and the team that was down 1-0 in overtime had their goalkeeper up about where the forwards are right now. So you had an offsides call the other way because they were the only one defender back. The rare situation where you don't have that second defender that's usually taken for granted. Injury now behind the play, though. It's Estelle Johnson, I believe.
I think she's been real good tonight. Very solid.
Yeah.
Very simple in her play. It's kind of what you want from that position, but nice calming influence there at the back.
Yeah, I mean, you lose a player of the quality of Zadorsky, and then you put in Estelle Johnson, who has played at Oyster now 20 times.
Yeah.
It's a nice fallback option.
Good roster building, too. I mean, let's give Jim Guevara some credit. You know, you have to know not just the type of player you want, but how much experience you want out of players, certain spots, how they fit with others. I think, you know, we touched on it at halftime. The Spirit roster's really well built for the entirety of an NWSL season.
Yep.
Now you get to the playoffs, you have to win games against, you know, higher end. It's going to be tough. I mean, teams like Portland really seem, certainly just Portland, seem to be kind of far out ahead of the pack for me. But, you know, second, third, fourth, fifth, I think the Spirit are right there now, and they're probably going to be right there by the time you get your Olympians back.
And you have to wonder, kind of looking into the future, if they can continue to keep these types of players in. How are they going to continue to grow as a program with, you know, the national team players sticking around for the next two summers and not, you know, having to leave as much for international duty?
Well, look at this back five. They've been together now. This is the second game this back five played together. Weiss is 25, Kleiner's 23, Johnson's 27, Oyster's 23, and Didasco's 22.
Bright future.
I like Didasco.
Yeah.
She's a bullet out here, you know, on these flanks. She's something to be reckoned with, and if she can kind of pair with that speed, a consistent service from the wing, they get in the habit of finding her. I really like what she brings to the table.
Someone that benefited from her time in Australia playing midfield, where she was able to be a little bit further forward and work on those aspects of her game.
You kind of have to wonder if this is, it seems as if it's a potential head injury. She won a 50-50 ball with her head and immediately went down. You have to wonder, you know, if she has to get taken out of the game and the Spirit have to play down a man for the next, I guess, I would say 5 minutes of stoppage time for sure. What are they going to do? Slide Church into the center back? Yep. Slide Church in. Keep Lohman.
Yeah.
Well, you could do that as well. You could certainly do that. Keep Huster, Lohman in the middle. Maybe put Stengel in the middle of the field or Bonini in the middle of the field. You don't need to score another goal. You don't need numbers up.
Whitney Church was the player that was getting instructions from the Spirit bench.
Yeah, if you go to 10 here because you're not going to be stretched, you're not going to be chasing a goal, I don't really think it affects you all that much. It might make a little bit more work for the lone forward you're going to leave up there, but that's okay. 5-6 minutes to burn it all.
Estelle Johnson helped to her feet. She'll be helped off the field by the Spirit's training staff.
For somebody who has stepped into this role and done a great job these last couple of games, that's something you definitely don't want to see for Estelle Johnson.
The initial signal was 7 minutes of stoppage time.
Wow.
Board's not up yet, though, so that could change. There it is, 7 minutes of stoppage time here at the Plex as the Spirit look to put away a 2-0 result. Estefania Benini from Francisco Ortega in the 20th minute, then Katie Stingle with her first touch of the game, heading home a Christine Nairn corner in the 74th minute. Back underway now, here's Mary Luba playing in her first professional game after coming on for Jin Hoy. Switch right for Casey Short. Pass inside looking for flaws is carried up by Kelsey Weiss.
Short, I think, has been a little quieter this half than she was in the first half. I feel like Chicago was really able to find her a bit more in the first 45.
Yeah, she's good at those kind of late runs, ghosting in. She's not accounted for, and she seems to really time those runs into the final third well.
Naperville, Illinois native, as is Megan Oyster. So another maybe notch in the win column for Oyster in their rivalry.
Seeing that 7 in the added time here on a hot day like today, I'm sure some of the players looked over and saw that 7 and thought, really? I mean, it makes sense. You know, we've had stoppages, we've had some injuries, but that is not one of the numbers you want to see, especially not when you're up 2-0.
I don't think I've ever seen it before, honestly.
I'm sure Chicago can't wait to play in Orlando next week in the middle of July. Probably be even hotter down there. Of course, when I went down to interview Roy Dames, he had a jacket on, so maybe it's one of those things where you're just like, it's not that hot. I'm just gonna, make it
Sweat it
seem
out.
like it's not a big deal to me when it really is. Switch looking for Gilliland. Didasco picks it off, deflected off the clearance. Huerta fighting Estelle Johnson, who's back on for it, and she'll knock it out for a throw-in. Short juggling and doing well to keep it alive at the end of the 18. Falls down at the end, no call from Brandon Artis. Stingle back to win it, loses possession back though. Chicago looking for a lifeline here in the soon to be the 4th minute of stoppage time. 7 were put on the board. Didasco tackling that off the foot of Gilliland, and it will be a corner for Chicago.
Gilliland has run at Didasco a couple times, and that was a really good one-on-one defending there.
We saw it a couple times, too, in the first half as well.
Serve towards the far post, headed out by Tori Huster. Volleyed alive by Johnson. A couple bodies is finally cleared by Megan Oyster. Shayna Williams can't touch it around Colaprico.
That's kind of in an awkward place. Like, what do I do? Do I bring it down with my feet? Do I head it forward? Kind of a little awkward bounce for Shayna Williams.
Gilliland. For Huerta, it's broken up by Didasco and cleared by Oyster. Still nearly picking the pocket of Katie Naughton, who will knock it forward. Michael Minnick here with Danielle Malgary and Sebastian Salazar kind of have to join us for the entire second half so far. Appreciate his analysis.
This is the best spot in the house.
Yeah.
You guys got the best angle up here.
Yeah, we
so
do.
Kind of tracking my highlights for the show on Sunday, and this is a good spot to do it from. Plus, I get to listen to you guys say all the names right. So that helps.
Well, we hope. We found out with horror that we've been mispronouncing Christine Naren's name for 3
Yeah.
years.
Yep. I noticed there was a change this year.
She was a teammate of mine in DC United Women in 2011. She never once told any of us that it was Naren instead of Naren.
Katie Stengel. Left for Estefania Benini. Lohman, Spirit just trying to keep the ball away from Chicago and ice this 2-0 win. Benini. Katie Stengel. Waits the triangle to Houston. Turned over to Gilliland. Flaws, can't beat Estelle Johnson. Once again, Tori Houston, a perfect spot to pick up the second ball and pick out Joanna Lohman. Basket win to space, looking for Katie Stengel, who used her fresher legs to try and beat Katie Knott into that ball, but the Notre Dame product had it all the way. Colapricos had to play really deep in this game to get possession.
Yeah, she has.
DiBernardo. The switch left for Gilliland. Gilliland in the box, and again, battling Caprice Didasco, and Didasco said it went off of Gilliland, and I tend to agree from the angle that we had, that it will be a corner.
And this has been a good battle all night with Gilliland and Caprice Didasco. I appreciate the effort on both sides of the ball from both of them.
And they're similar, right?
Yeah.
They're kind of quick, explosive
Right.
players. They've run at each other. It's a nice like-for-like matchup.
Yeah.
Corner in from the near side. Headed down. Still loose in the sixth. Finally falls out. Shot is again blocked. And another volley finally goes high. Will stay in play for Vanessa DiBernardo on the left side. Bodied up by Shayna Williams. Turns the corner nicely. Beats Didasco as well. Lays it out to the top of the 18, and Church is there to clear.
And that's what you tell your team at this point in the game. Do anything humanly possible to keep that ball from getting, being put in the back of the net. The Spirit were absolutely relentless defensively there.
And it's Whitney Church. She makes the clearance, but she also, I think, is the one that made the block. And
yeah.
Kind of known where to be.
Cross in, volleyed out by Oyster. Stickle hustling back for it. Can't be too much left in this one as we're in the 98th minute.
You got to feel the final whistles coming soon.
Colaprico. Flaws. Gives the way to Didasco. Good turn from Shayna Williams, and that will be the final touch of this one. So, for the sixth time in 9 meetings, 7 undefeated in a row, the Washington Spirit take on the Chicago Red Stars.
And I think for the Spirit this evening, they certainly obviously got on the board this evening, but they, I think, dictated the tempo the whole entire game. Maybe some things here and there, they were on their heels a little bit at the end of the first half, but especially here in the second half, it was all them.
And they really wore Chicago down. This is a Red Stars team that knows how to attack, that knows how to create chances. And in that second half, there just weren't that many. There's a set piece here or there. Towards the end, once they start bombing forward, obviously they're going to create a few more opportunities.
Yeah.
But Spirit looked really well set at the back.
Yeah.
And like you said, there was tons of space opening up. I don't know if it was the weather or kind of Chicago's commitment to getting up, but they're unable to get back. But the Spirit looked really good on the counter.
Yeah, I thought so
too. 2 or 3 times there in the second half.
Yeah, they did. And I think both goals this evening were great goals. Obviously, you missed the first one in the first half by Bonini, but it was a great finish from her. And Bonini, let's talk about Bonini. She, was the little engine that could in there the whole entire game. She never gave up, when she was in there. So I thought she had a fantastic game.
Good to see her getting 90 minutes of fitness as well. As early in the season, she was playing 55 or 60. I think she's gone 90 now in 2 out of the last 3. And last week, she was pulled in the 88th minute. So someone that's been able to make an impact over long term and, turn into a player that's not just skills, but someone that can also get the final product.
Exactly. And I think this Spirit team has to be happy with this performance because they were better, a lot better than last week's performance. So they're continuing to grow without their international players.
Let's tell the story of this one through our post-game highlights as the Spirit were able to pick up the 2-0 win tonight. And Casey Short active early for Chicago, cutting back and taking that left-footed shot, but Kelsey Weiss with her second shot in a row, making the save there. Then it was Estefania Bonini with the poise to finish and make it 1-0 in the 20th minute. Back came Chicago the other way, forcing Kelsey Weiss to make another diving play inside of her 6. And then Bonini starting something again to Kleiner. Good bring down in the box from Francisco Ortega, and a kick save and a beauty, although the foul was called. Michelle Dalton with a good save. Red Stars the other way. Header attempt from Huerta goes wide. Actually, that was DiBernardo. Bonini drawing a foul there, and a yellow shown to Alyssa Motz. So 1-0 Spirit at the break. Red Stars attack the scoreboard end in the second half, and Joanna Lohman, as you said, Danielle, someone that can really come to life in the second half, getting a shot there. Then it was Gilliland denied by a fantastic save from Kelsey Weiss. Then it was the other outside back on the Spirit side, Didasco, forcing a fantastic save out of Michelle Dalton the other way. Here was the second Spirit goal. A beautiful ball from Nairnen. Katie Stigl, who just stepped in off the bench. Her first touch is with her head into the back of the net. Header as well from second half sub Shayna Williams goes wide of Michelle Dalton's goal. And then finally Chicago's last gasp to get a goal going wide. So Spirit take this one 2-0. Sebi, your final thoughts on this one?
Oh, great game. Like you guys said, great performance from the Spirit. Very convincing, very commanding victory. Chicago clearly has some stuff to figure out, but it's tough to win in this league on the road, especially in these conditions, a hot day, all the travel. I just think it's a big ask for Chicago with the pieces that they're missing to compete with a Spirit team that, like we talked about, despite the obvious importance of the international absences, is really well set to kind of continue as is with the pieces that they have here.
Spirit have lost just now 3 out of their last 22 at home, Danielle. How do they continue this form when they go on the road the next 2 weeks?
I mean, they just have to continue to be positive with everything that they're doing. This has been such a great season for them so far. They just need to continue to build on every single performance and every single positive moment for them. So I think there's a lot of great things that they can take away. I think a great thing to take away today from tonight is Caprice Didasco. I think she had a phenomenal performance. So I think they need to continue to look into her to play big games. And she had, other than the 2 goals, probably the best opportunity of the evening with her shot from outside of the 18. So I think that there's many good things to take away from this performance.
So the Western New York and Seattle still in progress. Here's the table at the moment. Portland has 26 points, still in first. Now it's Washington in second with 23. They've played 11 games, so has Western New York. Portland's played 12. Chicago still in fourth for now with 18 points. Seattle nipping at their heels in extra right now with 16. Then it's Orlando with 15. Sky Blue entered the night with 13. FC Kansas City with 10. Houston with 7. And Boston with 4. It'll be FC Kansas City next for the Spirit. A 7 o'clock Eastern Time kickoff from Swope Sports Park. And for Chicago, it's at Orlando next Saturday. A 7:30 kickoff from Camping World Stadium. The goals for you one more time. Estefania Bonini in the 20th minute from Francisco Ortega. Katie Stingle off a corner kick from Christine Nairn in the 74th minute. Spirit move on the year to 7-2-2 and improve at the Plex. They've lost now just once. Chicago falls on the year now to 5-4-3. They've lost their last 3 after the win at Boston on June the 18th. So for Sebastian Salazar, our special guest for the second half, and my partner Danielle Malgary, we'll see you back here at the Plex on July the 30th when Sky Blue FC comes here with the second time. I'm Michael Minnick. Thanks to our technical team from Montgomery Community Media. Good night from the Maryland Soccerplex.